Oh, hi everyone. Hi. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. How are y'all doing? Not. But chat, we're gonna begin the Star Wars science tonight with a little bit of a different perspective. We have been doing a lot of technology, and I thought, why not start off with some ecology today? So it's a little bit different of a vibe. We're gonna talk about desert ecology in particular. I found this really good deep cut analysis on the biology of Tatooine. And so we're going to be doing a bit of Tatooine science to kick off the stream. And then we have a bunch of other things on the menu as well. For example, the other one we'll be doing tonight is lightsabers, the Force, and robot arms. Those are some of the... All right, let's get into the biology and ecology of Tatooine.
Wind whips over a barren wasteland.
I hope y'all like the Iron Man one. That one was fun to make. It's not a new piece. Like, we haven't made it... We made the actual Iron Man a while ago to begin with. And so it's not new, but I did just like a little bit of a edit on it. We made the version with the mask on his face and then did the little flight pattern of it. So that's the only Marvel one that we have animated so far, but I think it might be a fun one to have. Sahara sees the Amazon. They do need each other to be spectrophonic. How you doing tonight, by the way?
Vast nothingness, as far as the eye can see, or so it may seem. Creatures peek out of burrows, scurry across the sand, and soar through the sky, revealing a landscape not as lifeless as it may first appear. Deserts are often defined as areas of land that receive less than 10 inches of rainfall each year. These regions are low in humidity and can even be moisture deficient, evaporating water faster than it is received.
They are super cute spectra, so we're checking it out now just because it's laying the foundation for what's desert ecology that we know of here on Earth. And then there's a video that we'll dissect that talks a little bit more about the Tatooine biology of it. Alright, you're local. I'm gonna check this out.
Not the mama, not the mama.
Oh, you're local.
Not the mama, not the mama, not the mama, not the mama.
You do that one more time and I'm gonna throw you across the room.
Not the mama.
So I do remember this, Spectra. I do remember this. When we came to the States, we went to Blockbuster, and I remember we rented that movie with because of the, or whatever cassette tape there was. I think there was a movie, right? We rented it because I thought the box was funny. That's why I rented it. No joke on that front. Hi, Music Girl. Hello, Music Girl. Come to my attention, Jimmy does not know that. Jimmy. It's okay, Jimmy. It's not very good. You have missed nothing of that. You've missed nothing at all about that. At all. Astronomy show. You never know. The secret guest is on their way. It's super sad. Is it the asteroid? I assume now it's the asteroid Tolkien Town. I may have just nerfed the ending for anyone who didn't see it, but...
While most deserts are found in the mid-latitudes, these diverse ecosystems occur on all 7 continents and make up nearly 1/3 of Earth's total landmass.
Which I do think it's interesting that also there are ice deserts. Like the Antarctic is technically a desert, which... So I need to be saying, guys, the special guest is here. The special guest is here for the night. We have the special guest. Here she is. Hello. We have the lovely baby Alona. Here as the guest star. Let's see who got their predictions right. Prediction. Let's see how many channel points. The correct answer, and there was 1,574 channel points on the line. The correct answer was Baby Ilona. Yes, your local. We had her in January. 2 days after that, we got Twitch partner. And that was... It was incredible. Smikes, you did not think it was you. You did not even bet on yourself. You did not even bet on yourself. How dare you? How dare you? I know. One time Smikes will be here. We hung out a lot outside today, and she had a very lovely time outside. Guys, I'm betting Debs is missing this. I'm betting Debs is missing the baby. It's okay. It's okay, chat. Debs on the Discord, when I post pictures of the baby, she will post pictures, things that says, I'm waiting. Hi, Debs. And then all of a sudden, I'll post it later on. I'll actually wait a little extra whenever Debs posts it, because it makes me chuckle. I know the hair she's silly with the hair squirrel, but she's a cutie patootie. She's such a cutie patootie. We took her little chair outside today and sat outside. Let's start off this.
Deserts are sometimes classified into 4 major types: subtropical,
astronomy shirt, because you pointed out dinosaurs, and so did you, your local. She does have a dinosaur shirt on, and it says Roar on it. Got a little T-Rex on here. Got a little T-Rex on it that says Roar. Oh, thank you, Spectra. Thank you. We, yeah, it was the really cool day. You know, like, she's born 2 days later, Twitch partner, so maybe, you know, maybe she'll hit a birthday mark, and 2 days later we'll get Twitch ambassador, which is what we're going for now. So, both my nephews kept their blue eyes. I hope she'll keep her eye color, because they do. It has been shown they change eye color as they age, which is interesting on its own right. Yeah, let's see now. Types of deserts, chat, and we're going to dissect Tatooine as a desert as well.
Semi-arid, coastal, and polar. Subtropical deserts are found along the equator in the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. They are the hottest deserts on Earth, with daytime temperatures that can reach up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
Did you say roar declare? Did you say roar declare? It's a dino roar, it's not a bear roar. I don't know if you saw Claire. Roar! It's a very different roar. It's a dinosaur roar, not a bear roar, so it's different. But the shirt does say it right there. There we go. Okay, let's get back to the desert talk, yeah?
Semi-arid deserts are located in Asia, Europe, and North America. These cold winter deserts often form when tall mountain ranges block moisture through a process called the rain shadow effect. Coastal deserts form alongside the tropical...
I don't know if y'all remember the rain shadow effect, which is that as, you know, the clouds go up on a particular mountain, they deposit all the water, and what you're left with is dry air that comes back down. The time that I learned that was the Magic School Bus. If y'all remember that TV show, that's where I learned that. Hello, Miss Yvette. Welcome in. Baby's gonna... I mean, I hope so. You're local. And Star Trek. Lita is a big fan of Star Trek, so she'll know both.
Western edges of certain continents. Despite their proximity to water, coastal deserts remain dry. Polar deserts are found in the Arctic and Antarctic. The other end of the extreme, winter temperatures in the Antarctic desert average around minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit. While deserts experience extreme temperatures and receive very little precipitation, they are still important habitats for plants and animals. Desert animals, such as the coyote, have evolved to withstand harsh desert conditions by burrowing into the cool ground and emerging at night when desert temperatures drop. Many desert plants, including the saguaro cactus, have established long and shallow root systems to better absorb what minimal moisture might be present in the ground.
The reason I thought this was interesting was because of the Sarlacc. The Sarlacc pit in Star Wars goes deep versus wide, and so it might be a little bit of inaccuracy there. I'll give you baby fever, don't you, babe? You're local. I hear you on that front. Live in a valley. The mountain is really nice because all the water drops here. Desert on the other side. Ah, very nice, Spectrophonic. Hi, Give him Nell. I'm so sorry. That sounds very nasty. It's a friend in New Mexico that's always talking about edible cacti. So, Spectra, when I went to Arizona, one of the places that we went was a burrito place. And one of the burrito options they had grilled cactus in it. And it was delicious. It was my goodness.
Highly specialized to survive in such a harsh environment, desert wildlife is particularly vulnerable to ecological changes. Existing deserts have become less habitable because of rising temperatures that dry up scarce water resources and increase the risk of wildfires. Additionally, new desert areas are beginning to form through desertification. This phenomenon occurs when factors such as deforestation, climate change, and resource mismanagement degrade the biological productivity of a region, thereby creating a desert. For instance, in Central Asia, poor irrigation practices and excessive water usage dried up the Aral Sea and formed the youngest desert on the planet.
Spectra, this is actually not an AI voice.
But by practicing responsible agriculture, better management of limited water resources, and limiting further development, it may be possible to curb desertification while protecting our surprisingly rich desert ecosystems.
So this was just a little bit... Hi, Gwendolyn P. You want to say Gwendolyn P? So the reason why I pointed this out, this video, was only to highlight what we rudimentary know about deserts and the ecosystem and how they connect, how they're going to connect to Star Wars. So basically, our hypothesis...
My name is Gwen Stacy. I was bitten by a radioactive spider.
Our hypothesis is that there needs to be water retention, and water is very scarce on the planet. So we know they have moisture farms on Tatooine. So there is water in the air. So is the ecosystem best suited for what they say it is, or is it just totally made up? It's our thinking there. You like chewing on my finger? Gwen, we have 2 new animations, Gwendolyn P. Gwendolyn P, we have this one.
I love you 3000.
We also have this one, Gwendolyn P.
I'll be back.
Ah! Is there a baby emote? No, Spectre. She will not be on the internet in that way. She will not be on the internet that way. Your local, we do on the Discord have a nature channel. I would love to see some pictures on there. Hello, Carlo, the stream scribe. Guys, you're not checking out Carlo, the stream scribe. Single greatest and most breathtaking and amazing letter artist extraordinary. He's the Bob Ross of Twitch and letter art. Go check out the lovely, amazing Carlo, the stream scribe, who does it with us. Collaborations, usually Monday nights, where he does live letter art while we do microscopy. Meetings in Mexico for 2 months. I hope you got out as well, to your local. Miss Yvette, I cannot hug a plushie right now. I am so sorry. We can refund those points. I am holding a child, and I cannot go get a plushie right now. Letter Wizard, Spectrophonic. Letter Wizard. So, we did a little bit of rudimentary 101 desertification. Is there a shout-out? Spectrophonic is being shouted out right now. It's being shouted out just now. And we'll give the custom shout-out as well. There you go. Okay, so now we're going to talk about biology of Tatooine. Now, the plushie is not within arm's reach, and I'd rather not bother the little one. If she's, she seems to be having fun chewing on my finger. So we're just gonna let her keep chewing so that we can keep on streaming and talking about the biology of Tatooine, right? Possibly. Eventually give her a pacifier too, but I think she's having too much fun chewing my finger. So this actually was from a group that actually does a whole series on these. So it's called Curious Archive. And they've done a bunch of like unique speculative biology video series, and so that's why we're looking at this one in particular on Tatooine, but they've done a bunch of other properties as well, which is kind of cool, I think.
Imagine a planet of endless sand and scorching sun.
Towards Knight! Hi, Towards Knight. Professor Knight, how are you doing? Professor Knight, we're chewing on my finger right now. Are we teething? Maybe Towards Knight. It's a little early for it, but you know, you never know what's going on. You never know, Professor Knight. Guys, go check out Towards Knight. Legendary, extreme, handsome gentleman. He is a freestyle rapper extraordinaire. He sings, he dances, he plays guitar, he plays piano, he makes ice cream with nothing but one wooden spoon and a pectoral, and his pectorals. He also flexes to make Crunchwrap Supremes, and so much more. Oh, he's got a Speedo company with Gwendolyn P. Check out Towards Knight. I have not. You're local. If you have any pictures, my friend, if you consider dropping them in the Discord on our nature channel, we'd love to share it with everyone and be able to see it. It is fun.
Where's my drink?
What drink?
He even has Speedos on during his stream, but they're underneath his clothes. That's how dedicated he is to his brand. It's quite wild, actually. It's wild, Spectrophonic.
A world where every day is a race for survival and every night a fearsome competition for resources. The infamous desert planet of Tatooine, located in a galaxy far, far away, is known for being an inhospitable wasteland.
No, so Spectrophonic, that was the dragon from The Mandalorian. Hi, Ariella. Welcome in, ma'am. How are you doing today? How you doing? Infamous, it's not a good place, Gwen, Tatooine. You don't go there for retirement. I'm just Spectrophonic. You're making sure that I know what I'm talking about. And I appreciate it, because am I really a Star Wars nerd if I would have bought it? You know, and you're just making sure that I'm a topical expert here on the science. Right, baby? Right, baby.
Yet the creatures that brave this unforgiving environment are truly fascinating, and possess hidden intricacies that deserve to be studied further. So, for this entry into the archive, I'll be documenting this arid biosphere firsthand, analyzing the biology of these extreme life forms, and seeing how their survival strategies compare to those present in Earth's deserts. So, join me in a land speeder on this voyage across the desert, as we uncover the mysteries of Tatooine.
I do like as well how they frame the video as like, join me in my land speeder. Like, they're pushing full in the Star Wars front, which is why I was like, this is a good show. It's a good show.
The planet of Tatooine orbits a rare binary star system, meaning it has two suns, with the smaller sun in a stable orbit around the larger one. On the surface of Tatooine, one can certainly feel the heat of both suns at all times, as can the animals that live here. Beginning our journey on the
Cool place, so that is Hoth, Gwen. Tatooine is a desert planet entirely, so already on the ecology front, what we could assume is either at one point it had water, and it must have had, because if we're operating on the principle of how life forms, there usually has to be some flavor of water, like to be on the planet, right, to be able to facilitate the formation of life. So it probably dried out, is what I would guess. Maybe the two suns, one of them started heating up. That would be a bet that I would have. Yes, desert planet.
The vast expanse known as the Dune Sea, life in this region is highly specialized to survive the merciless heat. Peering through my macro binoculars, I spot a group of woolly banthas. These hardy megafauna are the preferred method of transportation for the local Tusken populace, and a staple of Tatooine wildlife. A large furry animal might seem poorly suited for a hot desert environment, but we can find a desert life form with a similar strategy in the Earth camel. Camels are experts at keeping cool, in part through specialized shaggy fur that helps keep their body temperatures low to prevent excess moisture loss. So it's likely the banthas can endure the deserts of Tatooine thanks to similar adaptations.
But, Smikes, I think we're just trying to make the connection between the two. Hi, NMD. How is your child? How is your child, NMD96? I hope your child is doing well. You seem like... yes, Soup. This is, there is a very angry life form in my lap. Guys, also go check out, by the way, Ariella Studies, who's here. Science artist extraordinaire. Go check out. Love the amazing Ariella Studies. How you doing, Soup? How you doing? Soup, we're talking Star Wars science, in particular, Tatooine right now, and how Tatooine desert ecology might, or may not function with the actual facts we know about how deserts work. Welcome in, Soup.
But beating the heat is one thing. To survive on Tatooine, the Banthas must also find food and water. To discover the Bantha's food source, one must dig underground. This is a black melon, a cactus-like species which, like many forms of cacti, is a precious source of water in this arid ecosystem. Once again, Earth camels supplement their bulk with a similar food source, grazing on...
My question, y'all, maybe they'll answer this, is if those cacti need to be dug up, right, in Tatooine, why are the Banthas doing digging on their own? Have they totally de-evolved to be not independent? It's a possible question. The poster from this one, hold on, Astronomy Show, that's going to be a different source. Chat is moving, chat is moving. Oh, that is a very pretty image. That is a very pretty image, Astronomy Show. Let me show that one off. Nicely done, Astronomy Show. I like that. I like how it looks. Thank you, Astronomy Show. Alright. Wow, little one.
On cacti whenever they get the chance. While you or I might struggle to stomach plants like this, it's no trouble for desert specialists like the camel or the bantha. So, while the Dune Sea seems barren, the surprisingly dense network of underground vegetation means large creatures such as the bantha don't go hungry, if they know where to look. But it's not just the banthas who drink of the black melon. The Tusken clans, a group of mysterious, sapient life forms that call this unforgiving desert their home, also know all the ins and outs of the Dune Sea.
I'm still torn though, y'all, on how the bantha knows where to dig. That seems to be a little bit... Ooh. That seems to be the difficult component, I think, in my mind, of how the banthas know where to dig. And I don't think it's because they've totally de-evolved to that possibility of that they are dependent on, you know, the sand people. So, something to be considering.
I initially hoped to document some of their knowledge, but Tuskens are highly distrustful of off-worlders. They weren't interested in conversing without their masks, or even with them, so my questions about this planet's ecology go unanswered for now. Feeling my welcome is well past worn out, it's time I set off on my...
Hi Rebecca, welcome on in.
...my land speeder once more, and document the next life form of Tatooine. Heading through a narrow canyon, I spot a fearsome massif, and unfortunately for me, these mid-sized reptilian predators move in packs, coordinating in intricate groups to take down their prey. The massive pack structure is similar to those of spotted hyenas on Earth, with both species living in large factions that coordinate to apprehend animals far larger than themselves.
So now they're using hyenas as a model for how these reptilian creatures might be. Good night, Becca. Hi, Digital Deck. So, Nell, we did talk about at the beginning of the planet dissection of the possibility that in order to form life on the desert, you would have had to have some kind of water source to begin with, and then it evaporated off later on. So that's the hypothesis that we're going with. So we are kind of going into the Legends canonical component of it. Don't you dare raise your ears, Soup. Bantha are omnivores. Okay, gotcha, Alex. I think they might have been going off only what was in existing videos and not necessarily the background books. And it makes for an easier YouTube video. Yeah, do you not like that? She doesn't like that. Alex, she agrees with you. You agree with Alex Vixen? That's a good way to agree. She's usually right. By usually, I mean Alex is always right. Okay. Soup, no. Soup, the keeping ears down is because you don't chew on Alex. What are we gonna do with your Uncle Soup?
And sharing in the spoils once the hunt is over. Fortunately for me, this pack, surprisingly, isn't wild, but are the domesticated allies of the same Tusken clan I spoke to before. As it turns out, domesticated mastiffs serve as loyal guard dogs across Tusken societies. Deciding to spend another night with the clan, I learn more about the mastiffs, like how
That is canon. Book of has Fett feet a bantha, a scurrier, a desert rat on Tatooine. Gotcha, Alex. Ilona's favorite alert, she does not have one now. She's usually not paying enough attention. Or we usually silence the alerts while she's here if she's in a sleepy mode. Eventually she'll have one, but she's far too little for it.
their dorsal spines aren't just for defense, but also show the creature's age through their length. And although I'm still a little worried the Mastiffs haven't stopped thinking about eating me, I'm excited to find the Tuskens are opening up to my questions. A Tusken storyteller I interview informs me that their people believe that thousands of years ago, Tatooine was covered in rainforest.
Now, there it is. There it is now, and the reason this is important is because it lets the beginnings of how life may have formed on this planet. It couldn't have started off with life in a desert setting. The only way they could have been is it was colonized by a different planet. And I'm not sure why they would have picked Tatooine to colonize for that reason. Are my tuxedos... What do you mean tuxedos? Oh, cats. Not a candy. Gotcha, Spectrophonic. Gotcha. I was like... I thought it was like NECA, like the candy, and then all... Like, it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. Good night. Sleep well, Astronomy Show. Have a great evening. Got a Spectrophonic. Ours is hops, barley, noodle, cannoli, and before that was taco. So I'm right there with you on that front. All right.
And the Dune Sea itself was an ocean of flowing water. Such an extreme transformation might seem unlikely, but shells and other fossils found in the Dune Sea on a prior expedition corroborate this theory. The process by which fertile land becomes desert is called desertification. And it seems this process began on Tatooine around 25,000 years ago. Some claim the desertification of Tatooine was brought on by off-worlder activity, while others theorize it was a natural process caused by the planet's twin suns. In any case, it's something I'll have to keep in mind as I consider the lineage of the species that live here. The next morning, a commotion stirs through the camp. A trap has caught a nocturnal wart. Twisting out, the toad-like creature careens across the sand. Typically, warts are most active at night, where they feed on rodents like womp rats and anything else they can ambush with their shockingly long tongues. These tongues resemble those of Earth chameleons, which can also lash out with amazing speed at unsuspecting prey.
And that was actually in episode 6, I believe, that it was the first time that we saw that frog character, so they've been in the show for a while.
Like the wart, the chameleon's tongue is stretchable to almost twice the animal's length, and is powered by spirally wound protein fibers, which can store energy like a stretched rubber band. Yet soon this predator will become prey. One quick blaster bolt, and it's all over. This wart will help feed the clan and their mastiffs a little longer. To survive on Tatooine, one must take what one can get. Setting off towards the western reaches, I spot, in the distance, an intimidating creature rising up from the sand.
Yeah, Spectrophonic, if we wanted to rabbit hole after this on how a chameleon's tongue works, that's a really, really cool topic as well. Return of the Jedi outside of Jabba's... Yep. And that's the scurrier. Gotcha, Alex Vixen. Gotcha. He is kind of monotone. We don't need to criticize his voice, Smikes. It's okay. These clips, Gwen, are from the movie... and from the Book of Boba Fett TV show, at least. I'm betting I can't remember if it was in another TV show or not, but across the movies is where they're taking the clips from. A lot of these creatures were a little bit more recent, like from Book of Boba Fett. So like when talking with the Sand People, that was in that newer TV show.
This six-limbed feral beast is a Tatooine sand ape. Its target is a wild mastiff, which the giant sand ape makes short work of. This is not a creature one should mess with. While their name and muscular anatomy mirrors large primates like gorillas, the sand ape's ambush hunting strategy is actually much closer to a very different kind of life form. In the Sahara Desert, a slightly smaller predator swims under the sand. The sandfish is a type of reptile that buries itself within the dunes. Then, when prey gets close enough, it surfaces and snatches it up, just like the sand ape of Tatooine. And now that the sand ape has subdued the mastiff, it's time to head in the other direction, before it makes me its next meal.
So why again I like this video is because they are connecting or trying to link back existing animals that have similar biology to what's being described in the actual Star Wars lore and universe. So slightly similar animals, but again, a common theme is water conservation that they would need to try to get. Some of these, it seems like, aren't violating those existing rules, although I'm still questioning how the underground cactus network is being detected by certain animals. And then we haven't yet gotten to the Sarlacc, but the length of it going downward would go against how water should be acquired by this animal. So there's some holes in it, but I think it's fun to be chatting about.
Cresting over a sand dune, I spot a herd of lethargic dewbacks. These thick-skinned reptiles are frequently used as mounts, both by travelers and those of a more sinister nature. Their name, however, comes from their seldom glimpsed habit of licking the morning dew from their backs to stay hydrated. A desert animal drinking collected dew might sound miraculous, but Namib desert beetles, which I've discussed on this channel before, actually have a convergent survival strategy. On misty desert mornings, they stand on their heads and let the dew that collects on their backs drip down into their mouths. And with fog in the air today, these dewbacks likely have the same idea. On a world with twin suns, all water is precious. But there are far more dangerous creatures under the twin suns I've yet to document. Rancors are massive.
Spikes, if that is true, that is absolutely beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. Where I also get hung up, y'all, and this, I know we're talking about a fictional world, but we're still trying to dissect the science behind them, is the size of these animals in these very dry areas where water is so scarce. It's hard. The bigger you are, the more water you require, so it makes it a more difficult and less hospitable to survive for these larger animals. Rancors are friends, Mikes.
Massive predators prized in the underground market for their fighting capabilities. Paying to study one specimen, I found they live up to their fearsome reputation. With their long arms, they seem somewhat unsteady on 2 feet, with a posture reminiscent of the fighting stance of a territorial grizzly bear. With their long claws and powerful brawn, grizzlies are perhaps the closest thing on Earth to a rancor. On their hind legs,
in terms of behavior, right?
These bears can tower over 7 feet, or 2 meters tall. But as imposing as grizzlies are, a full-grown rancor can easily reach 16 feet, or 5 meters tall, which puts into perspective just how dangerous these gigantic hulks of muscle really are. And since rancors are not native to Tatooine, their introduction has wreaked havoc on the local ecosystem.
Although, because they're not native, I would want to wonder and ask how they're able to survive on a different climate. So I think Alex can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was on a forest planet that they were on before, the Rancors. So it's... I know it was in some video games as well that I've played in the past. But they were on forest planets. And being put onto this one, you'd imagine the biology is so very different that it's surprising that they can survive so well. At least, that's my thinking. And yes, as Alex pointed out, perhaps an invasive species as well, and therefore destroying the local ecosystem. So we're hearing a lot about Tatooine, good and bad tonight. Hi, V. Hello, RPG Fandom. How are y'all doing today? V, yes, little one is here. Little one is, she has a dinosaur shirt on today, V. V, how are you doing, V? Welcome in, V.
But much like grizzly bears, there's another side to the seemingly vicious rancor. My studies suggest young rancors actually imprint on whatever species they first interact with during an early period of development.
Like birds. What is the keystone species here? So, based on what Alex has told us, Mikes, I would say that that little rat mouse creature is probably one of the keystone species. Because it seems like a lot of animals prey on that. And so it probably makes it very important. And then a lot of that cactus life, I would argue, are the two big keystone components here. So Alex telling us that the banthas were also omnivorous, I think makes it a very extra feel to it. Dathomir. Okay, thank you, Alex. Chewbacca is the scariest, especially in the Christmas special. You're not wrong, Gwendolyn P. You're not wrong.
Imprinting isn't unheard of in Earth's animal kingdom, and is present in young birds especially, but it might be a little surprising to see such a behavior in a beast as brutal as a rancor. Like most creatures, rancors are much more complicated than they first appear. That being said, there is one life form in particular that I've been apprehensive to study up close.
So there's a lot of things with the rancors that's interesting. Alex pointed out there's the invasive species component. The imprinting also signifies epigenetic changes, where you're changing to the genome as a function of exposure. And so what genes are activated and when they're activated has been shown to be epigenetically regulated, at least in birds. And so the rancors are a much more complicated species biologically than maybe we thought originally, which I think is really cool. Ewoks were originally supposed to be Wookiees. Alex says yes, so we'll go. I have heard that, Smikes. I can't remember where I've heard it, but that does sound right.
In the pit of Carcoon dwells the carnivorous Sarlacc. Appearing as a giant mouth buried in the sand, local testimony indicates that under the surface, the Sarlacc's body is over 300 feet, or 100 meters long. A diagram from the field guide of the interplanetary naturalist Terrell Whitlatch gives us a more...
This is a very different structure than whatever I thought it was as a kid. And it goes really, really deep. And based on what we know of desert ecology on Earth, that depth would mean it can't hold water as well. And so it might not be a creature that can actually survive the desert ecosystem. But just, I know we're suspending our disbelief just because it is right, Star Wars, and we're just enjoying it, but that is one component that is important. Wouldn't the sand crush it? I am not sure, Smikes. I depends on, I suppose, how tightly packed the sand was, too. Speaking of Star Wars, I really love the new pin. Thank you, I'm glad you like it, RPG Fandle. How would it breathe? Well, if it breathes through its mouth, that's exposed to the air. So this upper part is all out exposed to it. They're related to space worms. Okay, is that like the space worm, Alex, in episode 5? In Empire Strikes Back on the... Oh, yep, on the one you see in Empire. Gotcha. It's still... The body plan... I haven't seen the body plan before, Alex. But yeah, if it is like with these... I haven't seen the body plan of the one on the asteroid if it has these components as well. But like Smike says, if it's an annelid, then you're not really dealing with lungs and it can breathe like through its cuticle. But annelids need to their skin needs to stay very damp in order to keep breathing. So just some things to think about.
More complete look at the Sarlacc's body underneath the sand. This diagram shows us that feeding tentacles extend from the creature's posterior end, drawing in nutrients from the surrounding sand.
Pitcher plants. Okay, they're like pitcher plants with teeth and tentacles. I like that analogy, Alex.
Thank you for the booties in the face.
possibly breathe through their butts, Mike. I would presume it's probably whatever's pointed upward. Hello, Nelf. Welcome in, Nelf. Ilona is sleeping, Gwendolyn P. She has fallen asleep in my arms. My assumption is it's a little bit of a hybrid of both then, Alex. Like, it has that worm features that you're saying, but then also, like, I like that pitcher plant component. Because actually, Alex, the lore being that you're dissected for thousands of years is very similar to your pitcher plant, where there is a long breakdown process of the animal and of the plant itself. So that makes sense to it. That absolutely makes sense to it. All right, let's continue.
And like the roots of a plant. Indeed, the ever-confounding Sarlacc may be more plant than animal, but the Sarlacc still feeds on live prey that falls into its fanged mouth. While an organism relying on prey to fall directly into its domain might sound strange, one species on Earth does something quite similar.
This is a terrifying one. Hi, Skip. Welcome in, Skip. And hello, Lady Lara Croft. How are you doing today? Welcome on in.
Together, we can rule the galaxy.
Professor Danny Anduza! Hi, Danny. How are you doing, Danny? You never guess where I'm watching you from. Are you watching from the field, Professor Anduza? Chad, if you don't know Professor Danny Anduza, single greatest science communicator, not just on Twitch, not just on YouTube, but the entire internet. Please go follow Professor Danny Anduza right now. Danny, thank you for the resub for 21 months, sir. That's almost 2 years. Chat, Danny is going to be doing field research very soon and live streaming from the field, and it's going to be an absolute blast. He's actually at a dig site now. They know they have new dinosaurs there they're going to be digging up. If you go to Danny's Twitter, there is the opportunity to donate for his research, because that's how bad funding is nowadays, that there just isn't sufficient funding. But if you donate $100, you'll be put into the acknowledgement section of the publication. So please consider going to Danny's Twitter. Actually, I will just bring it up. I'll bring it up so we can get the donation going. I could do that. Chat. Hold on. I could do it one-armed. Yeah, buddy. I got this, chat. Okay, here it is. Boom. Here is the link where you can donate to Danny and help him with his field research. And again, a donation of $100 gets you into the paper. In my tent in Nevada's Ichthyosaur State Park. Nice, Danny. Are you starting the dig site soon? Or is it like a bunch of prep work? But yeah, here, y'all, is the link that you can donate to Danny. There's still 6 days left to donate. $100 get you on the paper. And it's this website has a really nice breakdown of what all the funds are going towards. So like how much is going for vehicle supplies, food resources, excavation tools, consumable excavation tools, transportation, etc. So please consider donating and supporting the lovely and breathtaking, amazing Professor Danny Anduza. Also, just go follow him, go use your Prime sub on him, go do all the things as we always say. Danny, we are doing Star Wars Science Night Part 3. Tonight we're talking a little bit about desert ecology in relation to Tatooine and how those two, real desert ecology versus the ecology of Tatooine interconnects. Like, where are they taking liberties and where are they being correct. Be leaving for the actual field report on the 12th or so. Right now I'm just on my way out there. Nice. Are you gonna do a live stream at the park tomorrow, Danny? That would be very, very cool. I loved, Danny, the past 2 summers you've always done a bunch of like expedition trips, everything from dinosaur museums 2 years ago to field work last year to even you walked along the Golden Gate Bridge. One stream, like an IRL one, that was a blast. And I hope the antenna works now, because I know you got a new setup, and I'm fingers crossed it works. I know you're doing some testing, and of course Danny went live for a test stream to make sure everything worked, and we were all, and he said like, test stream, don't come. Everyone's like, hi Danny, and he's, oh, okay, hi guys, I'm just testing these things out, trying to get set up for a live stream right now. Ooh, very nice, Danny. Night stream, Professor Anduza. You hear that, little one? She actually, Danny, you can't see. I would show you, but she's got a dinosaur shirt on. It's a little... Well, I mean, it's actually quite questionable of what dinosaur it is. It's probably a T-Rex. I don't know. It's very cartoonified, but it says Roar on there. She's got her little dinosaur gear ready to go. Oh, good morning. Hi. No. We can go back to sleep. You can show Danny your shirt, but maybe you go back to sleep now. There we go. There we go. Oh. It's part of my work day when I'm like writing emails and like having meetings. Sometimes she's sleeping like this in my arms. She's cutie patootie. All right, Sarlacc pit, a moosh of some antlion, pitcher plant, worms, maybe.
This pit belongs to an antlion, an insect-eating predator that digs steep holes in the sand that almost look like miniature sarlacc pits. The antlion waits at the bottom of the trap for an ant to tumble down the slope, which the antlion then slowly devours. Curiously, there are similar rumors that the sarlacc also digests its food over a long period of time, but the only way to determine whether or not this is true is to get a closer look. So I'm lowering a flashlight-equipped camera inside the creature's gullet. This is a nerve-wracking operation, as the beast might awaken and attack the light at any moment. Navigating the camera down a stomach cavity, I find it's difficult to see anything. Turning on the high-powered beam, we've found the half-digested remains of an unlucky former meal. While gross, this discovery seems to confirm the theory of the sarlacc's slow digestive system. Unfortunately, it seems the sarlacc has had enough of our prodding and turns aggressive. Time to quickly pull the camera back up to the surface and leave this place forever.
So it would be interesting, y'all. Like, there's a lot of blending of different biological states here. I like Alex's analogy of the pitcher plant the best. I would want to see how well the water retention works, again, so the animal doesn't dry out. Because given it has that open mouth to the really warm source of Tatooine, you might predict that, yes, it might dry out really quickly. And so how does it avoid drying out? That would be a big question I have.
On Tatooine, one might assume the sarlacc would be the top predator, but there is a single final life form on this planet large enough to eat sarlaccs. While refueling at a town, I notice the sand begins to vibrate. When the ground shakes like this, every life form, from the tiny scurriers to the largest banthas, know it means trouble. One older bantha isn't quick enough. From the ground bursts an enormous predator, which vanishes just as quickly with its meal. That was a krayt dragon, the most elusive and deadly creature on Tatooine. The bones of juvenile krayt dragons can sometimes be glimpsed upon the dunes, but when krayt dragons reach their adult form, they're virtually invincible. This will be a very challenging species to study indeed.
I do like that the krayt dragon was brought back from episode 4 to the Mandalorians, that you got to actually see what the creature looked like, but those were the bones that R2 and 3PO were hanging out with earlier.
Reuniting with the Tusken clan from earlier, I agree to travel with them to the site of a krayt dragon cave. The Tuskens make a pilgrimage here regularly.
They might, Smikes, they might.
As they've studied its digestive cycle for generations, and feed the beast banthas to keep it satiated.
Oh, she is all done. Chat, say goodnight to baby Alona. I think it might be time for her bath. And then it'll be time for her bedtime. She likes the, she seems to fall asleep really well after a bath. And she knows that that's her way of going about things. Hello, Grimly! Grimly, I hope you're doing well, you handsome devil. Hi, Grimly! 2 species of krayt dragons, canyons and great krayts. Ooh, Alex. I don't know enough about that. Do you know, Alex, which species is which? Like in this show, which one is here? I do not know offhand. Now they do undergo metamorphosis. Yes, they do utilize the energy harvested from the ants and other prey from their pits to do like this transformation, a metamorphosis.
From the depths of the cave, the creature emerges. This time, the dragon seems satisfied with its meal and retreats back under the sand, for now. According to the Tuscans, the crate dragons have another terrifying habit when they feel threatened, projecting corrosive venom directly from their mouths, which causes their target to dissolve. While spitting venom might seem unusual, there are several species of spitting cobras that have a similar defense. When threatened, these snakes can contract muscles around their venom glands and launch venom from their needle-like fangs. And like the crate dragon, some spitting cobras can launch their deadly venom more than 3 times the length of their bodies. Crate dragon venom, however, isn't true venom, but an acidic fluid that helps them digest their food. We're fortunate that the crate dragon wasn't in a spitting mood today. Yet one way or another, eventually everything on Tatooine meets its end. To the south, an adult crate...
So it is puking, Smikes. It is releasing digestive fluid. It's not... Remember, we've talked about poisons versus venoms much earlier on different streams and talking about how their properties are different. This one doesn't hit any of those because it's not going to kill you because of touch, because of a neurotoxin or anything along those lines. It's just melting you because of its digestive fluid. So it's a very different component of how this works.
Dragon has died, and other species benefit from the resources its body leaves behind. The clan I'm traveling with is particularly effective at breaking down the different parts of these leviathans after they expire. But there is one body part in particular they seem to be searching for. A young hunter has found a rare crate dragon pearl. These pearls are formed the same way as the pearls of earth mollusks. The process begins when a small irritant like a grain of sand finds its way inside the life form. A crystallized substance known as nacre then forms around the irritant, and over time the layers build up and form a pearl. But it's an uncommon occurrence in crate dragons, and hence finding this valuable pearl is a tremendous triumph for the clan. It's been an incredible trek across Tatooine. While all life forms here have to endure the same conditions, no two life forms have adapted to this planet's unique challenges in the same way. We've learned much about these survival strategies on our expedition, but with the twin suns high in the afternoon sky, the time has come at last to say goodbye to this unexpectedly teeming planet. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this entry, please lend your support to help make videos like this possible by...
So, that's a quick little look at the biology of Tatooine, a little bit of the ecology. We talked about some of the features that I thought would be important, especially for saving water and having water conservation. It doesn't seem like that's as big of a sticking point for this guy. I think he was just trying to find an amalgamation of animals that best fit the behaviors of what we see, or like, here's a feature pulled from one animal, here's a behavior pulled from another animal, to kind of pull it together to make it seem like how it best worked. The canyon is still huge, and that was a greater crate dragon. Alex, I need to look up like an image of like having a little bit of comparison between the two. I don't have a good size reference in my head. Hello, Cirque. How you doing, Cirque? Technically edible? Probably no. Probably. I don't know, because of how dense it is, how easy it's going to be digested. But in theory, yes. But don't go eat pearls. I did not say anyone should go eat pearls. So, that is topic number 1. Actually, I forgot to start up the prediction, y'all. How many topics we're going to get through tonight. Let me go ahead and start that. I usually have that up, and I just totally blanked. I think as Baby Lona was here. Let me go ahead and start this. We'll actually just do a 10-minute prediction, And I'll give you a freebie. We already did one. So you can go ahead and put in some more there. It's not Monday, otherwise I have a perfect question for you. You can still ask a question, sir. You can still ask the question. I might not be ready for it, but you can ask the question. So chat, topic number 2 we're going to go to is the Force. We're going to go to the Force. And the Force, you might be able to blend this a little bit of a stretch, but y'all, I'm trying to dissect the science of Star Wars. The first bit that we're going to chat about of what's most related to the Force is technologically, and then we're going to go electricity. So those are the 2 primary avenues of how we're going to dissect the Force from a Star Wars perspective and how it might exist most similarly in the modern day. Again, it's a stretch, but we're going to go along with it. So the first is a technological innovation. And this is a neurological tech that we're talking about. Is it possible to find and use yeast from amber? So, Cirque, my bet is... So, it is possible to find it. We have found, together, on this stream, fungus inside the amber. Like, it looks almost like growing... It looks like growing yeast cells. I don't know what they actually are, Cirque, but it looks very much like if it was some kind of growing mass that we normally would have, right? My suspicion, though, is if we burst it open, that it would die. That it's not actually alive. And instead, right, it's just a dried out, preserved specimen. We have found cordyceps, as Mike says. That is a different kind of fungus. We'd also found something a little bit more... They look like rounded balls, Cirque, almost like a growing yeast cell. And that's why I was saying, well, maybe we could definitely identify it. But if you crack open that amber, nothing's gonna grow. It's been dehydrated for so long. Yeast cells, while they are hardy in terms of being able to survive, if they've dried out so long that their DNA has cracked and evaporated, right? So you're not going to be able to bring them back to life. The same goes true for the cordyceps fungus as well. Yeah. A fan film that explains midichlorians are much better than other sources. Yeah, and Alex, we talked about midichlorians in the context of mitochondria and being assimilated of one cell type to another. That's what we were kind of thinking about. There's a company using 4.5 million year old yeast for fermentation. So, Cirque, I would love to get that article. The oldest DNA that we've been able to extract from amber was about 1.2 million years old. My wondering is what the preservation method of it was. Like, how was the yeast preserved? If it was in ice, it's much more likely to have stayed. It could have been something very, very different as well in terms of preservation technique. And so there might be something to it. But yeah, Cirque, I'm not aware of how that would work, but in amber, it's going to be so dried out. And again, the DNA is going to break. You can't rehydrate that. That's totally gone at that point. But yeah, Cirque, let me know.
There are more neuron connections in the human brain than stars in the sky. But even more...
See that clickbait article? Cirque, if you see it again, please share it in the Discord. I'd be curious of what it is. Whenever I see those articles, the first thing I do is scroll to the end. And the end of it usually has the primary literature article that's hyperlinked. And that's what I'll try to go to. And because of where the reporting is coming from. Otherwise, yeah, I have I wouldn't generally buy that that component there.
More amazing than that is how much we have yet to learn about our own internal galaxies.
It might be some kind of clickbait smikes where there's some old component of the yeast making process that's in there, but it's not actually the yeast cell itself, or they're not it might be something along those lines. Yeah.
Welcome to Emotive, unlockers of the human brain and decoders of the human experience. While the tech
Fan film has some Sith-created bacteria. The first time chatter! The bi-alien, welcome on in. How you doing today? Created bacteria that's attracted to creatures with the Force as a marker, so it's easier for the Sith to find recruits. Found this out too, the bigger the concentration, the stronger connection to the Force. They do not create the Force. Alex, I love that hypothesis that it's the Sith created as a marker, because then it could still explain, like, if it's a bacteria that's created, it could have been endocytosed by existing cell types and just then spread throughout time, right? It's like a mitochondria or a chloroplast, like we kind of talked about. And if it was intentionally put in by the Sith, that is really, really cool. I like that. It's terrifying, Alex, from the perspective of that world, but it's really, really cool.
technology that underlies our innovation, EEG, has been around since the 1930s. Only now with Emotive, organizations, enterprises, and individuals can learn faster, perform better, make better choices, improve mental well-being.
So this does seem to me a little bit terrifying, but it seemed very sci-fi, and it seems like there is some accuracy to it as well. So what this is this tech company trying to use different kinds of neuroscience and technology to kind of augment your brain, which feels a little bit Force-like to me. Again, it's not the same concept, but I was trying to pull out similar ideas between them.
Gain mobility and independence, reduce stress, and improve the human experience. In building the world's largest database of anonymous brain information, we've developed a seamless way to create meaningful measurements and actionable insights. With Emotive, we can enhance the human experience by unlocking the black box of the human brain. Not just for the 1%, but for 100% of people all around the world. We are working across more than 140 countries, taking EEG technology beyond the lab and into the real world. We are able to study the brain in real time, in real life. We can decode cognition, emotions, and behaviors as they happen.
What she is right about, Smikes, I don't know if it's actually anonymized, but what she is right about is if you have this measurement and you're taking measurements from thousands of people and you're getting information about behavior and feelings, you will find connections between them and correlations and how these things work and what patterns you're usually seeing before and what patterns you're seeing after and what patterns you're seeing on this situation. The anonymized data is always questionable, to say the least.
Think of the insights, the innovation, the advantage that can come from grasping the smallest nuances of how we think, respond, and feel. And the possibilities from there, as infinite as stars in the sky.
So that's their big selling shtick. It turns out that you can actually use this to play with Star Wars games, which is the connection that I was trying to pull back to it. So there are ways to use this headset and play video games, and that's what I wanted to point out with that as well. Alien, thank you for that contribution to the debut in the new science music video. Yeah, Smike, so I did look and see what we know about this Emotive company. Like how much we know about it in terms of the things that they're inventing. And it was very difficult to find any data. We were very limited on finding anything on that front, unfortunately. because of the patents. If y'all remember BB-8,
I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I distinctly remember watching the Star Wars film where Yoda brings the X-Wing out of the water, and I spent probably far too long than I'd like to admit staring at cars to see if I could move them. So to have that ability to control my own The Force in this instance, that's very cool. My name is Joshua Carr, and I am the technical liaison for IBM's Worldwide Bluemix. I'm always curious about the technology that's coming up, what's next. And recently, the headset that allows consumers essentially to read their own brain and understand what's going on inside your head was successfully funded, and I had the opportunity to get hold of one of the first that was shipped. The headset itself uses known technologies to look for specific markers, things like excitement and interest. What we can do.
and those markers were defined by doing broad analysis and trying to figure out exactly how these things work. So that broad analysis, you test it on a bunch of different individuals and experiencing these features and these feelings, and those then connected together give you the information of what might be happening and like best inform of what you might have, although with the caveat that you might be different, right? Because it's not the same for everyone, but they're taking an average of a rather large number on it. We're actually doing some Star Wars science tonight. We talked about the ecology of Tatooine and the desert biology, and now we're moving on to the Force. Now the Force, it's a little bit more questionable of what exactly can happen. But we're going at it from a technological perspective as well as a neuroscience perspective of how forceful we can get. Spike, sleep well, you handsome devil. You smokes. Guys, also go follow the lovely and amazing Nerduino, NASA.
Thank you for the booties in the face.
As we always say, Nerduino, exceptionally kind, exceptionally handsome, exceptionally amazing is that lovely Nerduino. Please go give him the fancy pants follow. And Bit Gaming will get you your fancy pants one as well. Bit, I have some stuff for you here. We do have a brand new redemption.
I love you 3000.
We do have an Iron Man that comes in now. And then we do have, for Big Gamey, this one.
I'll be back.
There you go, Big Gamey. Is that any better, Big Gamey? Is that any better for you? Because, chat, Big Gamey uses that BRB to redeem, and, it breaks my heart that it didn't have an animation for so long. And it's like, Bit, I had to add the Terminator music to begin with now on there. I just want to leave some... You don't have to, Bit. I will trigger it for you for free.
I'll be back.
There you go, Big Gamey. And then I liked how this one turned out, too.
3000.
The audio at the beginning is bad, Big Game, because the beginning it's Iron Man saying I love you 3000. That's why the command is exclamation point 3000, but you can't hear it because it's too low, so I need to adjust the volume on that, and then it will be all set. When I was testing it on my own, it sounded fine, but... Well, it's a work in progress, Big Game. It's a work in progress. All right. So, Thindal. We were talking about, there's this emotive company, and the company is doing these, you put on this piece on your head, and it's supposed to measure brain waves, and it's supposed to allow you to do force kind of stuff.
Do is train our headset to recognize certain familiar commands that we think.
And the headset, it's been tested on thousands of people, Thindal, and data's been, like, absurd amount of data has been collected. So what they're collecting for is where your brain fires when you're undergoing stress, where your brain fires when you're undergoing sadness, and these other emotive states. And then the idea is they've done so many times, they've gotten such a strong average of when this happens that you can program this software to react. So if you get angry or stressed, it'll trigger a command on your computer. Right? And so Thindal, we don't know the ins and outs of how this tech works because obviously it's proprietary information, and it's as you might imagine behind a paywall and a patent. But Thindal, what they did in this video is they programmed it to control a BB-8 droid. And so you're controlling it with feelings, which is similar to the idea of the Force, right?
And the device learns, essentially, that this means action A. Then we can send that data via Bluetooth off to the internet. But once it's there, what do we do with the data? There's an awful lot going on in my brain, I hope. And what can we do with that? And that's where IBM technology comes in. We process that data, we flow it through, and we make meaningful interactions using small amounts of code. So in this instance, what I'm doing is using a command and translating that into a push movement.
Hey Mayo, welcome in. Mayo, we're talking about the Force. A little bit of the Force tonight.
I used the Java SDK that came with the Emotive Insight and the Java Internet of Things Foundation library, and essentially combined them together.
Bit Gamey, would you be able to code something like this? I have honestly, because I don't understand like the mechanics of what's going on behind here, but if you had something like this machine, I think that would be really cool to have, like, you know, because Big Gamey on his stream, folks, he's a game dev extraordinaire. He's got, you know, different hats that he wears. He makes video games. He's also one of the world's best fathers, if not the single best father on the planet Earth. And I could see Bit Gamey using this kind of technique to do something fancy. Like if you could control even within the video game itself. Like Bit, even if you're not controlling a separate item, like if you put on this headset, if you could control the dog in Homeward Hound that you're making with thought, I mean, it would probably be a shtick, right? Because not everyone has this equipment, but it would be really, really cool. I don't know. I just, as an idea, Big Gaming, I have no idea the pricing on this. I have no idea how expensive it is. I have no idea the time investment or all the equipment you need. It just sounds cool.
Together to publish the data to my Internet of Things service that sits on Bluemix. And I spun up a boilerplate that uses Node.js, and on top of that sits Node-RED, which is a wiring tool for the Internet of Things that allows you to easily and efficiently take data and run functions against it, sometimes with code and sometimes without having to explicitly write the code itself. In the films, they talk about the Force binding people together. In the near future, we're going to take a huge leap in feeling truly connected with other people.
It is a lot of layers, but Bit, if you could do that, right? That would be super cool to me. Personally, Bit, like that would be worth it. If I could put on a headset and control my BB-8.
And for me, it was such an easy step to think about how can I use my brain to control robots around me. If I could make any technology from Star Wars real, it would not be lightsabers. Can you imagine giving a lightsaber to somebody? The first thing they would do is chop their arm off. Let's take baby steps. First, faster than light spaceships, and then lightsabers. Once we can prove that we're not going to destroy the universe with spaceships, then maybe we can deserve lightsabers.
Actually, Bit, I don't know if you're interested in this, but they already have lightsabers. They actually made the Proto Saber. It is live already, and you can purchase it. So there's already some of that component. Hi, Epic of Sam. Guys, also go check out Them Artsy Ghosts, artist extraordinaire, who is in the shadows with the lurk mode. Go check out Them Artsy Ghosts as well. Probably chop my arm off. Absolutely not, Big Gaming. And Bit, this is... I thought you might also find this cool. So there's a lot of tutorial videos on how to use this technology, but this is how you can actually do the 3D brain visualization. I thought this was a really, really cool thing. It would be a blast to get something like this for the stream. Again, we can check and see what the price is, but essentially it'll let you look at brain activity. And so from our neuroscience dissections, I think it would be really cool. Dr. Sam, please. I wasted away 6 years of my life to have that in front of my name, Sam. Oh my goodness, Sam. But it gives you information like this. So you hook up this connecting to your head, and it pulls in on the computer this kind of imagery that you're able to see. So it'll actually tell you where your brain is functioning and where it's firing. Yes, the Bi-Alien, me too. Right? Because Bi-Alien, I don't remember the price of these. I did check out
barbecue sauce.
Well, yes, Epic of Sam, 6 years in graduate school, not only to be called Mr. Mayo, thank you for lurking. But Bi-Alien, you actually, when you use their software, you sign away all the data to the company. So and it says that it anonymizes your data, but who knows if it actually does or not, which to me also makes it scary, but at the same time, like, this is really cool stuff. So like in the software, when you have it on, it'll show you can adjust it. And so what they're adjusting now is the different locations that you have the sensors on and seeing where your brain is firing. Mr. Doctor, I'll allow it, Sam. Hi, Sam. Musk had something like this, big gaming, but so there was actually a couple of bit. There was Google Glass that was similar, but it actually had that eyepiece in front, and it was almost like the contact lenses that you see in movies that have like digital stuff that pour in. That got banned very rapidly. I think we learned this in a lot of locations because they thought it was a privacy violation. The bit I don't remember Musk's if he had anything like this, but I do know that there had been something where they wanted to implant a chip, and that is still, my understanding is that is still being pursued. Did you have a Google Glass bit? I've never heard any feedback about it. It was hot for a split second until they banned it in a lot of places, and then it just felt like it just went away. Of course, the Artsy Ghost did not have one. No, okay. I'm just honestly a bit curious if it was at all interesting. But if you do want interesting, go check out Epic of Sam. Epic of Sam is very interesting. We love you, Sam. So pursued. When the brain implants to like have data talk to you like from a chip. This is still actively going. And I do agree with them that there is a lot of cool neuroscience outreach that you could do with this. Like, imagine if you're in a classroom and you have this hooked up to a screen and you put it on different people's heads and you see where the different electrical activities are. I think that would be really, really cool. Right? But it does bring into questions of, how moral and ethical it may be and how much information is being put out there, and there's a lot of like kind of things on it, but I still think it's very powerful, and I honestly kind of want to test it out. And it seems like the software is pretty easy to use, and I also like the fact that it overlays the primary regions of the brain, and so you can overlap that with where there's the firing going, which is pretty neat. Hello, Kai. Welcome in, Kai. How you doing, Kai? Musk just got the FDA approval to do his Neuralink experiments used in 3 days ago. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Cliff. Yeah, bit slightly terrifying. I don't. For the little that I've read about the Neuralink, I'm not especially fired up about it. But that is something that we can check into. And actually, Big Gamey just sent me a video. We can also follow up with this one. It's probably gonna be a very different style, but.
Elon Musk's brain implant company Neuralink said on Thursday it had been given a...
Yeah, these are the brain implants. The reason I was asking if it was the implants or not is because I felt like at one point he was looking into similar technique with like the headband and those sensors, but I know the big one was seeing what you can get into your head.
Green light from the US FDA to kickstart its first-in-human clinical study. It's a critical milestone for Neuralink after earlier struggles to gain approval.
We're confident that it is possible to restore full-body functionality.
On at least 4 occasions since 2019, Musk has said his medical device company would begin human trials for a brain implant to treat severe conditions such as paralysis and blindness. Yet the company only sought Food and Drug Administration approval in early 2022.
So, Ariella, we're talking about brain implants and brain augmentations, and that's why we're just bringing up this video. Just focusing on the tech. We don't need to derail with who's in on the tech.
And the agency rejected the application, sources linked to the company told Reuters in March. The sources said the FDA had pointed out several concerns to Neuralink that needed to be addressed before sanctioning human trials. They include the device's battery, as well as safety issues surrounding its wires and the protection of brain tissue.
What about the monkeys?
Thursday's FDA approval comes as U.S. lawmakers are urging regulators to investigate the oversight of animal testing at Neuralink. The company has already been the subject of federal probes, including at least one linked to animal testing and treatment.
Fun game.
In a tweet on Thursday, Neuralink said it was excited to share the news of the approval, but that it's not yet recruiting for a clinical trial. Over the years, Musk has publicly outlined an ambitious plan for Neuralink. He envisions its devices to cure a range of conditions, from obesity, autism, depression, schizophrenia, to enabling web browsing and even telepathy. And that both disabled and healthy individuals would be swiftly getting surgical implants at local centers.
Yeah, exactly, the biolin. So it's protecting when you're doing the implantation because structurally, the brains are going to be similar between individuals, where the neurons are connecting and how they're connecting. That could be very different. So the implantation process has to be very precise. And then whether or not it's founded fear, is it feels very much like a 1984 dystopian future where you flip a switch. Or like if y'all have seen the SpongeBob movie, the first SpongeBob movie where Plankton gives out everyone a chum bucket hat, and then he presses a button and it goes over their head and it turns them into mindless drones. I'm not saying that that's what this is, but it gives me that little bit of hesitancy there. I have no idea Ariella on Tesla. My stocks are doing well in it, so I'm happy with it. Stepford Wives. Yes, Grimly. Yes. Generally have been really cool implants and effective for treating tremors and other conditions. For sure, Ariella, for sure. And I think no one would have as big of an issue with it if it was to try to reconnect for paralysis, like to stimulate neuronal growth, right? Or if it was for stimulating getting rid of the shakes, or if it was these other things. I think where people are getting hesitant on, maybe this is just my misinterpretation, but from what I've read is like the connection to the internet and like data sourcing with that versus just a insular single unit that you can put in and connect with elsewhere. Guys, go check out the Anchored Albatross, who's live right now. Live right now. Go check her out, chat. Wood burning extraordinaire.
Neuralink and the FDA did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment.
So that's just a little quick rabbit hole onto that being approved and the similarities between that and then this brain software that can connect back to it. Med school class, we had patient visiting, as you can turn the implant on and off in front of us. That is really cool, Ariella. That is really, really cool. Yeah. That is really, really cool, Ariella. It's amazing how far technology has come. We actually have a whole section. If we get to it, we do. If we don't, we don't, on robotic prostheses and helping people in that way as well. I don't know what that means, Thindal. Want to hear a lowercase circle, underscore, uppercase circle, question mark, smiley face. Blue, she went from much shake to zero shake and blew my mind. I know it's eyes, Thindal, but I don't know how to interpret that in a sentence. Lovely, Thindal. Yeah, Ariella, I don't know if you have interest in this, but this is a piece of tech that you can put on your head. And what's cool is, apparently, it can measure your brainwaves and see where it's measuring as well. Ariel, the scary thing is when you use this, it sends off all the information to the company, which is a little bit like, privacy violations rights. But if it's giving you this resolution, imagine what you can do if you take it into a classroom. And they even have like the brain regions in the software, so you can see the individual regions of the brain where they're firing on that. So yeah, they have so it's called Emotive Station, and they actually, like, you can buy one. So Thindal had some issues with OBS, kept restarting computer, OBS kept crashing. Nothing worked. Signal reboot, power off, unplug the power. Yeah, Thindal, absolutely. Thindal, that happens a fair bit on mine too. If the cameras stop working, you unplug it, you replug it, and then it's all Gucci. Why it works? No idea. No idea at all. That is frequently, I want to see what my brain waves look like. Yeah, right? The Bi-Alien? I want to see that as well. And also, but as you're saying, in your ADHD brain, so here's the difficulty, right? Like when you're having the ADHD, because that also goes in waves, right? Like, and I don't mean like brain waves, but like pulses of focus versus lack of focus and back to focus, right? And so then you'd have to figure out what of your brain waves are focus and not in focus and back and forth, and then which is the stress as well. But what's neat about this system is that they have all this like data where you can see, and like they've curated all this data of what is a stressed person look like with this system. What does a calm person look like? So if you did the proper comparisons, you should be able to figure it out, which would be really cool, right? And then you can compare what's different to those baselines. And so for me, it would be really cool to do something like that. And then, like, the whole computer capture card itself was borked. Yep, it happens, Thindal. I don't know why, but I blame the tech gremlins, Thindal. I assume that they're living inside the computer. To what end? I don't know, Thindal. They think it's funny to actively mess with me. I mean, they do a good job of messing with me. But I do. Yeah, the Bi-Alien. See how your brainwaves behave, the heightened senses. I would love to see that as well. And then comparing it to different individuals and seeing how they function. I think it would be really amazing to see something like that. But difficult to do. I'm not sure how much the tech costs. Borked motherboard at work. That's because the PSU went and poof. I don't know what PSU means or CMOs mean, but Thindal, I'm glad that it got fixed. So chat, that's the technological side of the Force. How about controlling someone's arm with your brain? So let's get to a neuroscience and technology approach as well. See, Thindal, I don't know these acronyms, Thindal. The same thing in science. I try to not say all my acronyms because I know that it could be very difficult to follow what the heck I'm talking about Yeah. Love your face, Thindall. Thank you for your patience, Thindall.
The brain is an amazing and complex organ. And while many people are fascinated by the brain, they can't really tell you that much about the properties about how the brain works because we don't teach neuroscience in schools. And one of the reasons why is that the equipment is so complex and so expensive that it's really only done at major universities and large institutions. And so in order to be able to access the brain, you really need to,
Why, Alex? What happened? Sleep well, Thindall. Sleep well, and have a good day off tomorrow as well. When I worked in Japan, we have patients with chronic spinal inflammation. We used robotic exoskeletons to enhance their weak want-to-walk signals and make walking happen. Ooh, that is amazing, Ariella. Also, I didn't realize you worked in Japan. Very cool, man. Very, very cool.
Dedicate your life and spend 6.5 years as a graduate student just to become a neuroscientist to get access to these tools. And that's a shame because 1 out of 5 of us, that's 20% of the entire world, will have a neurological disorder. And there are 0 cures for these diseases. And so it seems that what we should be doing is sort of reaching back earlier in the education process and sort of teaching students about neuroscience, and so that in the future they may be thinking about possibly becoming a brain scientist. And so when I was a graduate student, my lab mate Tim Marzullo and myself decided that, what if we took this complex equipment that we have for studying the brain and made it simple enough and affordable enough that anyone, an amateur or a high school student, could learn and actually participate in the discovery of neuroscience. And so we did just that.
So another reason why I enjoy this TED Talk is because it talks about what exactly you need to do to get this kind of set up and actually test it for yourself, which is a really neat trick to it. I lived in Japan for 4 years and speak Japanese. Nice, Ariella.
A few years ago, we started a company called Backyard Brains, and we make DIY neuroscience equipment. And I brought some here tonight, and I want to do some demonstrations. You guys want to see some? All right. So I need a volunteer. So right before, what is your name? All right, Sam. I'm going to record from your brain. Have you had this before? No. Okay. All right. I need you to stick out your arm for science. Roll up your sleeve a bit. All right. And so what I'm going to do, I'm putting electrodes on your arm, and you're probably wondering, I just said I'm going to record from your brain. What am I doing with your arm? You have about 80 billion neurons inside your brain right now. They're sending electrical messages back and forth and chemical messages. But some of your neurons right here in your motor cortex are going to send messages down when you move your arm like this. They're going to go down across your corpus callosum, down onto your spinal cord, your lower motor neuron, out to your muscles here. And that is electrical discharge. It's going to be picked up by these electrodes right here. And we're going to be able to listen to exactly what your brain is going to be doing. So I'm going to turn this on for a second.
So he's getting the electrical signals from her brain and figure out exactly what it sounds like. Let me look at this, Alex.
Former VP Richard Nixon will arrive here this week. Drywitz, I've assigned you to cover the PC.
He likes to say PC instead of press conference.
And if you do happen to speak with him, please be polite and to the point at all times.
Affirmative, sir.
Affirmative, sir. Good. Okay. The former VP will be here on Friday. I expect every minute of the VP's PC to be taped and broadcast within 12 hours of his arrival. Something funny, Garlic. Perhaps you'd like to share it with the rest of us.
No, sir. The former vice president is a delight, sir.
Excuse me, sir. Seeing as how the VP is such a VIP, shouldn't we keep the PC on the QT? Because if it leaks to the VC, you can end up in MIA, and then we'd all be put on KP.
Yes, Alex Hickson. That is exactly sometimes how I feel with the acronyms, and especially with having too much of my own as well.
Second. Have you ever heard what your brain sounds like? No. All right, let's turn it on. So go ahead. Whenever you go ahead and squeeze your hand.
Hi, Gary.
All right, so what you're listening to, so this is your motor units that are happening right here. Okay, so let's take a look at it as well. So I'm going to stand over here. I'm going to open up our app here. So now I want you to squeeze. Yeah, so right here, these are the motor units that are happening from her spinal cord out to her muscle right here. And as she's doing it, you're seeing the electrical activity that's happening here. We can even click here and try to see one of them. So keep doing it really, really hard. Yeah, so now we've paused on one motor action potential that's happening right now inside of your brain. Okay. Do you guys want to see some more? All right.
I think this was to Mythbusters Gremlin. I think this may have even been around the time where it was done. I think it's a similar time point to it, yeah. Garish, welcome the heck in. Hope all is going well, Garish.
That's interesting, but let's get it better. Okay, I need one more volunteer. Okay, what is your name, sir? Miguel. Miguel, all right. You're going to stand right here. So Miguel, when you're moving your arm like this, your brain is sending a signal down to your muscles right here. I want you to move your arm as well. All right, so your brain is going to send a signal.
So, Garish, we're talking about the Force. So we're doing our Star Wars Science Night Part 3. And what we're analyzing is... Well, we talked about the ecosystem of Tatooine. And hello, Becca. Welcome in. We talked about Tatooine ecosystem and how that could come to be and like how animals could survive that kind of ecosystem. And now we're talking about what the most similar thing is to the Force. And the closest thing that we're able to get is technology. And so the first bit was this piece, like a headband essentially that measures brain activity. And you can program a software on the computer to do particular things when you think of something. Because when it measures a certain kind of electrical activity, you can tell it, okay, when you see this kind of activity, do this thing. So like the example given was, see, like they made all these, let me see, these intersecting nodes of like when it reads this kind of metric, do this behavior. When it reads a different metric, do a different behavior. And what they're actually able to do was control a droid.
Code itself. In the films, they talk about the Force binding people together.
Like that.
In the near future, we're going to take a huge leap in feeling truly...
So it's the technology coming together with the brainwaves to figure out how exactly that works. And then, now we're talking a little bit more about the neuroscience side of things, where it's also a little bit Force-like and a little bit like that telekinesis of controlling people. So here, it's hooking up an electrical signal or electric node to your head and to your arm, and seeing how those electrical firing potentials can translate to movement elsewhere. She makes his arm move. I have no idea, sir. I have no idea. Let's continue watching.
Go down to your muscles. And so it turns out that there is a nerve that's right here that runs up here that innervates these three fingers. And it's close enough to the skin that we might be able to stimulate that, so that we can do is copy your brain signal that's going out to your hand and inject it into your hand so that your hand will move when your brain tells your hand to move. And so in a sense, she will take away your free will and you will no longer have any control over this hand, okay? You with me? All right, so I just need to hook you up. All right, so I'm gonna find your ulnar nerve, which is probably right around here. You don't know what you're signing up for when you come up and... So now I'm gonna move away and I'm gonna plug it into our human-to-human interface over here. Okay, so Sam wants you to squeeze your hand again. All right, do it again. All right, perfect. So now I'm going to hook you up over here so that you get the stimulus. It's going to feel a little bit weird at first. This is going to feel like a, you know, when you lose your free will and someone else becomes your agent, it does feel a bit strange. So I want you to relax your hand. All right, and Sam, you're with me. All right, so you're gonna squeeze. I'm not going to turn it on yet, so go ahead and give it a squeeze. All right. So now, are you ready, Miguel?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, so I've turned it on. So go ahead and turn your hand. Do you feel that a little bit? No. Okay, do it again.
No, a little bit.
A little bit. Okay, so relax. No, hit it again. Okay. Oh, perfect, perfect. All right, so relax. Do it again. All right, so now. All right, so right now, your brain is controlling your arm, and it's also controlling his arm. So go ahead and just do it one more time. All right, so that's perfect. So now, what would happen if I took over my control of your hand, and so just relax your hand, what happens? Ah, nothing. Why not? Because the brain has to do it. Now you do it again. All right, that's perfect. All right, well, thank you guys for being such a good sport. This is what's happening all across the world.
So that was another connection maybe to the Force of how electrical signals correspond from the brain to the other components of the body. Exactly, Ariella. Yep, there's no electrical impulse with that passive movement, as he was saying, has to go from the brain to the arm, not just your arm making do that. How dare BitGamey? But yes, BitGamey might be right. BitGamey, you silly gentleman, BitGamey. So yeah, I thought that was a really cool component of how that all worked. Now, I think we will continue on to another topic. So that was a rough look at the Force. No nerfing, Becca. No, ma'am. Because BitGamey brought out about lightsabers. And so, here's the thing. Lightsabers, in particular, this lightsaber is in the book series, the very original lightsaber, BitGamey. It was a pack that was worn, and then there was this additional hilt component, and that's what gave to the lightsaber. So it wasn't... This is like in the old book series as well. It's no longer canon. It didn't have this ability. Why no nerf? Because you're not sub, Becca. That's why no nerf. So then this time, BitGamey, you wore a pack in order to get the lightsaber. Okay? So you didn't just have the little handle with the laser sword coming out. You had to have this whole pack going with it. So BitGamey, this group of individuals decided to take this, what's called the Proto Saber, and use the Proto Saber and make something like it based on what was in the book. So, and it was a little bit based on this imagery from Star Wars Episode 1.
Close the blast doors!
Where this is what they were hoping that it could do.
They are still coming through.
Of melting.
This is impossible!
Melting metal.
Where are those droid cars?
And then this, for some reason, BitGamey, this YouTube clip that I found has that same scene on repeat for an hour. No idea why. Apparently, it's a very cool thing to have replayed for an hour straight, but you can replay it for an hour. So, tendon severed by an accident. There says, "Did you do when I see something cool?" She pulled on my tendon and made my thumb. Oh God. Kai, none of that story seems okay. I hope you're all right now, Kai. That seems terrifying and wholly inappropriate to have done to you or to anyone. So,
thank you to EA for sponsoring.
Let us see the world's first Proto Saber and how they designed it and how it worked. So we got, again, looking at how basic lightsaber tech works. They don't have anything today yet where it's just a small handle, but they're making that older type of lightsaber.
Sponsoring this video. Holy crap! It is so hot. Like, my face is starting to burn. All right, someone bring me a head.
But yeah, they got your lightsaber.
You can hone your lightsaber skills by playing Star Wars.
Good morning, Shadewave. Welcome in.
Jedi Fallen Order, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and other great Star Wars titles on Origin Access Premier.
Ah yes, the lightsaber. This is Cal Kestis' lightsaber from Jedi Fallen Order. The lightsaber is the holy grail of sci-fi tech. The iconic symbol from pop culture recognized around the world. The first time you saw one, you wanted one. You used broomsticks, twigs from the backyard, anything you could get your hands on to reenact those lightsaber battles with your friends. Dreaming of the day scientists would crack the code and you could wield your very own. Don't tell your 7-year-old self this, but there is one little problem.
Hi, Zen! Zintaus, how are you doing today? Welcome on into Love and Amazing, the breathtaking Zintaus. Is it a light sword? I don't know how heavy it is, Zen. I'm not sure how heavy it is, but I think it's, must be pretty alright. How you doing, Zen? Welcome in. Zen, we're doing some Star Wars science tonight.
Lightsabers are scientifically impossible to create in real life. The main roadblock is the power source. These things would take an astronomical amount of energy to operate. Some estimate upwards of 1.69 gigajoules of thermal energy.
How am I going to generate that kind of power? It can't be done.
Just to put that into perspective, we're talking about slightly more energy than a bolt of lightning, a constant bolt of lightning, all packed into the handle of the lightsaber.
What did you say? A bolt of lightning.
Not to worry though, if lightning is on short supply, just substitute 120,380 AA batteries, 650 car batteries, one nuclear reactor, or 0.000000475% of Earth's total power. I think that's currently on sale at Walmart. So yeah, not...
Right, so Garish, this is, I think, really cool, and it's like a nice hang-up of why we're not running around with lightsabers as to how much power we actually need for it. Anything else? Back to the Future and Star Wars is the same thing? Zen? But are they the same as Marvel?
I love you 3000.
They're not? Okay, that's fair. That's fair, Zen's house. That's fair. Not even close. Zen, I had to show you the new animation. That's the only way I can think of showing it to you. Zen, we also have one other new animation. Zen, may I show you the other new animations in Taos, you handsome devil? We have this one now, too.
I'll be back.
We have that one now, too. Hello, Little Arrow Soaps. Guys, if you're not checking out Little Arrow Soaps, legendary soap maker extraordinaire.
Together, we can rule the
Little
galaxy.
Arrow, thank you for the resub! Hi, Little Arrow Soaps. How are you doing, man? Guys, go check out Little Arrow Soaps. Saponificator extraordinaire. We've had her on the stream before. With Zulu as well. Zulu Charlie 10, I believe. I never remember Zulu's username. We talked all things soap science. Put soap under the microscopes. Had an absolute blast. How the heck are you doing, Little Arrow? I hope all is well. How were the Marvel, the Comic-Con that y'all had with like the Marvel soaps and the Star Wars soaps? I hope it went well. The pictures made it seem like y'all were having a blast. We're working on the bath bombs for conventions. Nice! Yeah, Little Arrow, we just debuted our new Marvel animation. We have Marvel emotes now. We have 3 new emotes we just put in. Iron Man, Black Panther, and Deadpool are now emotes for the month of June. And we have this as well.
I love you 3000.
One of 7. And it's about 80%. Ooh, Little Arrow, that's awesome. Congratulations. Isn't it? You actually the right eye. Cirque, they're both red. Cirque, that's the fun part about it. They're actually both red. Alex, thank you for the booties. In the face.
Not happening anytime soon. But before your 7-year-old self cries himself to sleep, there is hope. Let's take a look at the history of this weapon of choice for the Jedi. The predecessor of the lightsaber in its current form was a lesser-known weapon commonly called
Hi, Zulu! I see Zulu Little Arrow most days with the lovely Derek, Devin, and Moko mates. I get to say hi to Zulu a lot. I don't get to say hi to you as much, but I get to say hi to Zulu. Thank you again, by the way, Little Arrow, for the resub.
a proto-saber. Essentially, the only difference from a lightsaber was that the proto-saber was tethered by cable to a power supply pack worn by the user. And it is this, ladies and gentlemen, this portable battery pack that gives us at Hacksmith Industries a new hope. See what I did there? For the past year, Hacksmith Industries has been...
Darn, I know, Little Arrow, I'm lucky that I work from home on the computer and I, can just be on both computers and whatnot. If you look in a mirror and raise your right hand, it looks like your reflection is raising its left hand. That is true, Zen. Zen, also, if your hand is bigger than your face, you're more likely to get something. And that, Zen, is when the kid usually puts their hand to their face, and that's when you hit their hand, and then it goes... ADHD is too strong. Little Arrow, I'm grateful to be able to do it because it saves us $30,000 a year on, daycare bills. Which are, if if we picked up a second job, that would, well, I guess I'd be having a third job. If it was a third full-time job, it would all be going just to paying for the childcare. It's just like, it's not worth it. So then luckily I can stay at home and work and then take care of the little one. Have Zulu for Little Arrow. You're not planning it wrong. I mean, it's also wild to me, Little Arrow, that what they usually do is that daycares don't take a baby until they're 6 weeks old. But there are places that don't give you 6 weeks of maternity leave. And it's just like, then what do you do? And if you don't have any relatives nearby, then you're just out of luck. It's pretty terrible. I stopped working partially for that reason. 2 kids in childcare at my entire... Yeah, Garish. And it's like, what do you want me to do on this? There's like nothing I can do. It's just... At that point, it's pointless to work. Right? Working for a children's hospital with amazing health benefits if we have a kid. Nice, Little Arrow. Little Arrow, actually, funny side story. The hospital that we went to for baby Alona, they were restructuring the insurance, and they were going to not accept a particular... They were not going to accept Aetna anymore. But all the hospital staff were on Aetna. And so what it was going to be was the hospital that they worked at was not going to accept their insurance anymore. Luckily, it got at least a little bit extended in terms of a renegotiation, but it's still frustrating that that's a thing, that like the people who worked at the hospital would not be covered by their insurance to go to said hospital. Yeah. You know, that happened in my state too with a different insurance company though. Garish, we keep getting letters every few months that like, it was the worst, Garish, was we got a letter middle of December that our hospital was no longer going to be on our insurance with baby, and they were like, you better find a new hospital, and baby Alona was to be born like within a few weeks. And we're like, excuse me, like, and you know, we had like all these maternal like specialists that we had to have for the pregnancy and whatnot, and we're like, oh my god. And they were like, what do we do? And they're like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious? Or should the issues, and because my hospital treats and we're saving $1,000. Oh, Little Arrow. Yeah, those can run easily like 40, 50K easily with those. Automod, listen, Ariella, the Automod protects people, Ariella. The Automod protects people. It's important that it protects people.
Been working tirelessly to make a portable battery pack capable of powering a lightsaber. Let's take a look at the build. Alright, we're going to need a lot of batteries. Then, we need to build a box around the batteries that is wearable, just like a Proto-Saber power pack. We want to go with the steampunk vibes.
Hi Crystal, hi Humbler John. Guys, go check out the lovely, amazing, breathtaking Humbler John, another maker and crafter extraordinaire. How you doing, Humbler John? Guys, go check out Humbler John, who just had his birthday this past week. It's true.
We're going to be doing a full metal construction with some analog meters and aesthetic switches. Oh, and in case you didn't know, the majority of our CAD models are available to our patrons on Patreon and our YouTube members, including our design for the next lightsaber, Kylo Ren's. In case you can't build your...
So Crystal, we're trying to talk about how you can have a lightsaber. And Bit pointed out, Bit Gamey's like, well, I don't get, where's my lightsaber? And so it turns out, Crystal, that there's one kind of lightsaber that's even makeable. And it seems like it would be one that has to have this particular pack because it needs this battery pack. So this is called the Proto-Saber, which is around early in Star Wars lore. And so that's what they're trying to build now. Because of how many batteries you would need to power one, it has to be something that you're wearing. You need a nuclear reactor in terms of power. So that's why... they're building it as a particular like kit versus just like the straight and only the handle as what you normally see. Yes, do not buy it off eBay. I would agree with that, Big Gaming. Go to a witch doctor back in the woods, buy a swamp, affordable, but it's a little bit sketchy, fortuitous. A little bit sketchy. So Crystal, they show you how they build it in this video.
Your own lightsaber like us, hone your lightsaber skills by playing as Cal Kestis in Jedi Fallen Order by joining Origin Access Premier today, which lets you play new EA titles days before launch. And with a huge library of games, you can play as much as you want, including Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Star Wars Battlefront 2, which features new content from the new movie Rise of Skywalker, and more. Plus, there's over 200 games in Origin Access Basic, and even more in Origin Access Premier, making it one of the cheapest ways to game on PC. Click on the link below to learn more. Plus, you'll be supporting our channel, which will allow us to continue experimenting with our lightsabers and other futuristic technology from fiction.
This is the way.
It's fun right up until anything you're wearing ignites.
I also, just as an aside, love their machine shop. Crystal, what are you doing? Crystal, thank you for the 2 tier 1 gift subs, Crystal! To Dig Batty 72 and Lord to Basil. Crystal, thank you so much for those 2 tier 1 gift subs. If y'all have been hit with a gift sub, please thank your gifter and enjoy the ad-free viewing and emotes made with love. Thank you so much, Crystal.
Now that we've plasma cut, welded together.
Humble John! Humbler John, thank you for the 100 bitties. Humbler John, thank you very much, my friend. Yeah, I just like their whole setup. This would be a fun place to just, like, I don't know, just to play, like, this kind of shop and build stuff, I think.
Together and ground down the big old battery box. It's time to actually put the cells in it. These are the Energis lithium-ion cells that we previously used to power the lightsaber. We've also found uses for them in the big leaf blower. Each one of these battery packs consists of 16 18650 lithium-ion.
Big Gamey! Big Gamey, thank you for the 100 biddies, Big Gamey. You did, in fact, start up a choo-choo, Big Gamey. We're starting that hype train, y'all. Chat, you know the drill. If we complete any level of the hype train, we will do some raffles for stickers and or hard enamel pins and sticker sheets as well. No pressure to get us there, folks, but we did send off. The first sticker sheet was won by Peekaboo Draws that's been out. And actually, we had the new stickers go out this past week as well. We have new holographic stickers that just came in. Not holographic, glitter ones. The glitter Twitch word sticker. So yeah. The sneakers, yes. If we complete any level, we'll do some raffles, but absolutely no pressure to do so. RuneScape Penguin. RuneScape Penguin, how the heck are you doing, my friend? Welcome on in. I have not seen you.
Gucci.
Well, it feels like a day and an age. Guys, what you guys are amazing. RuneScape Penguin, aka the local penguin, aka one of our friends. Hello, RuneScape Penguin. Learning some stuff, moving in and out. No worries, Fortuitous. Thank you for being here. All right, chat, let us continue. Let us continue on the lightsaber build and see how the lightsaber will come out. Tarzan, thank you for the 100 bitties, Tarzan. Appreciate that, getting Tarzan's 81%. Remember, if we complete that level, we'll start doing some sticker raffles. Let's get back to the lightsaber and how they're going to put these batteries into the pack. Again, Oik, Raiders, talking about the science of Star Wars tonight. In particular, lightsabers right now. It's a short story, longer than short. Earth is flat, but it's wall. Everyone lives with once in the wall. You dig the wall for resources, fight the non-wall living peoples, upgrade stuff. Oh, gotcha. Huh, very neat. Very neat, Oik. Very neat. And Big Gamey, thank you for linking it on the Steam store. Very fancy, Big Gamey. Thank you, Big Gamey.
Cells. They're all in parallel, giving us a total of 40 amp hours at a maximum voltage of 4.2 volts each. we're putting 2 of them in parallel, so we should be able to pull 1600 amps for a sustained period. Let's see how much it weighs. So it's going to be a very heavy backpack. Probably not the heaviest thing James has worn on his back for a video. And this is also probably the most frightening battery pack we've ever assembled in terms of ability to output a crap ton of current. So we have this little piece of ill-fated aluminum here. We have the table tied off to ground through a pair of jumpers and a current clamp. So if we strike this...
Wake, they're trying to make a lightsaber like this that needs a separate battery pack. So this one, it's not like where you have the handle that goes by itself, but rather it's connected to this existing little backpack. And it's in the Jedi lore that such a thing exists, so they're just going with it, yeah, as best they can. Crabs and curry is a technical term. Maybe? No, it's not a good term. It's not a good term, Big Amy. It's not a good term. Why not? I think because it involves poos in. And poos in technically doesn't have current. So if it's a crap ton of current, has no current to it. Possibly.
This against the welding table, we should be able to make it get a little smaller.
Easy, Tarzan. Easy. I got you, Tarzan. I know what you're saying, but remember, keep it family friendly.
That's a little shorter than it was when we started. And this thing is reading 549 amps of inrush current.
I think this is the first time we tested out a battery pack for the lightsaber and it didn't burst into flames.
Don't worry, the time will come.
The time has come.
Okay, so we're seeing if the new lightsaber MOSFET switch works, and it won't catch fire in the process. And Dave, where's the fire extinguisher? And I'm certain it will turn on. The question is whether it will turn off. Well, let's see what happens.
You're good, Tarzan. No worries. Was he doing it for us? So no need to... That is true, Zen. Go try to tell us.
Disappointment. What a wonderful smell. I know the MOSFET failed, and I'm going to need to review the tape to see how much current we pulled for how long. And
that's only because you're using your European adapter in the American system. But you just gotta switch over to the US one, and then you'll be all set, good sir.
And look at the data sheet for about half an hour while pulling my hair out. And with that, we should be able to figure out what exactly just happened. Because right now I have no idea. So, with our hopes for controlling the lightsaber with transistors having gone up in smoke along with the transistors themselves, the electrical design has to go out the window, and we are back to the drawing board. It's just not that easy.
Cliff reminds me, I think I missed 1 or 2 Star Wars streams. Did you already talk about... We have not done the holographic projections, Cliff. No, we have not done that. But it's something we should do. Cliff, the past, if you're at all interested, the past ones are on the YouTube page for the last 2 Star Wars streams. Plastic of Wars, anything getting on the joke? Thank you, Master Lee.
So why is this so hard? We just need a way of turning on and off the lightsaber. The problem is, it draws about 1,000 amps at around 20 volts, which is over 20 kilowatts of power. That's almost half the typical power supply to an average North American home. Which means, you can't just use a regular switch for this. Now, Charles tried using a MOSFET, which is kind of like a digital switch, with no moving parts.
Thank you so much, Humbler John. Sleep well, my friend. Sleep well. I think there's a paper on how to build volumetric displays doing... Oh, that's cool, Cliff. I wonder, Cliff... I feel like, Cliff, I've seen videos of it that make it seem like it's feasible to do on a pretty small and easy budget. I wonder if it would be buildable, like, by ourselves. Probably not, but it'd still be kind of a cool thing to think about.
But, as you saw, that didn't work out, and wasn't the first time either. So instead, we're going to go old school and use a tried and true contactor, which is basically like a giant electromagnetic switch. To better understand what we're doing, we drew up a circuit diagram for our page on maker.io and sourced our components from DigiKey, which features next-day delivery for the majority of their parts, which is super useful for prototyping our projects. Big thank you to DigiKey for supporting our projects over the past few years.
Yeah, hold on, just going indeed, Kristen. There we go, building lightsaber up. A local blackout. Wait, is that true, Orik? I have no idea. I've never, beyond this video, Orik, I have not heard of DigiKey. No, okay. Thank you, Orik. I was like, wait a minute.
Do you need my tiny hands?
Honestly, yes. At long last, I have all of the power electronics assembled, and now comes the moment of truth. We should be able to press the big silver shiny button, and we should get some confirmation that we have power and a nice blue glowing light.
And what happens if there's no blue glowing light?
Then I cry.
I don't see a light.
Then I cry.
Hello, darkness, my Not yet, Zen. Now there's just tears. Bright enough electrical stuff that causes blackouts. That's fair. Penny wasn't. No, I think Crystal means and I've forgotten most of the names. Big Game. I'm sure if I dig around in my brain, I can bring him up. But the gentleman with the master's degree, who they always ragged on for having the master's degree, totally spaced on all the names of the characters. I guess there's Leonard and Sheldon and Penny and Bernadette, Howard, and now I know there's one more gentleman. Howard, yes, Howard was the one with the masters, and then there's one more who I've told. It's been many years since I've even thought about the Big Bang Theory. I don't even know who finished the show, to be totally honest. Raj. Okay, thank you, Grimly. I don't know if we even finished the show. I don't think we did.
I truly have no idea what this is doing.
It's only 95%.
Just
The first season, Bit Gamey, I really didn't like, because Penny was just an airhead. And then they changed it very much around where she was much smarter, and then it was like, it wasn't just like nerds like pining after an airhead, but it was like much more of a complicated relationship they were going for. And then I don't know why we started missing the last season, but I that wasn't because we didn't like it. I don't remember what came up. Little Arrow, sleep well. Thank you for hanging with us, Little Arrow Soaps.
Current is going back into the battery pack. It is no longer in a fault state.
Charging.
There we go.
How's it going, Charles?
That's great.
It's looking pretty heavy. 41.5 pounds. But the real question is it comfortable to carry? That's not actually too bad. I mean, it's like almost 50 pounds. Just jam that in the hole.
About the cable management, Zen, I'm sure their cable management is far better than the disaster zone under my desk. Although, Zen, it's gotten much better since the last time, because now I have like cables labeled with tape, and it's gotten better, Zen.
Proto Saber.
We still need to paint it.
So we've got a solution in here of copper acetate. Then we use electricity. We've got little copper pot scrubbers here that are connected to the positive side of our power supply. And then we connect our negative to the piece that we want to plate, submerge it, and let the electricity transfer the copper from the solution to our piece. We've been working at it all day. I've probably done this piece 20 times. Patience is the key when doing this. It's when they invented alcohol.
Dave.
95%, huh? Excuse me for a minute.
All right, let's start building this thing. So this is the connector that goes from here to the giant relay that we need to install. We're going to leave that out for now, because if that touches that and that at the same time, cut to explosion.
As Big Gamey said, don't try it at home.
Okay, we got 6 cells. They all have a voltage. It's in a fault state. That's okay. I don't remember how to reset it. But we're good. And we're going to keep connecting wires until we either run out of wires or something catches fire.
And adults, Big Gamey. No one.
If we had the lightsaber working, we could demonstrate that it works. But we don't, so I'm just going to use a surrogate lightsaber switch, and you should be able to hear relay fire.
And thank you, Big Gamey.
So, without the power switch on, nothing happens. Power switch on. Power switch on. Helps if you actually turn it on. It's probably best that no one ever sees the inside of this thing. All right, so we have our Proto-Saber battery pack ready to rock.
Melissa, I need to go to bed, but I wanted to say I love you. Thank you, Melissa. Love your face, Melissa. Sleep well, Melissa. Thank you again, Melissa. I found a 3D projection paper. I put it in Sci-Fi Stream channel. Thank you, Cliff Alistair McLean. Thank you, Cliff. We'll have to do a little dive into that technology as well.
Got a big power button. We have our M meter. We have our voltmeter. We have our power setting lights. We have a giant power connector coming off the side. We have our contactor, our current shunt. We have 12 battery packs from Energous, giving us a total of 24 volts and 80 amp hours.
All right, so our Proto-Saber power pack is complete. But since the last lightsaber video, we unfortunately damaged the blade, which means we're going to upgrade the whole thing, including a thicker piece of tungsten and a larger titanium pipe. Let's make it.
It is a cool lightsaber. And again, I went with this video because it's your modern day example of what we can actually build. And I also liked how they highlighted that there are limitations to this technology. For example, how much power you would need to be able to run something. So they're making a wearable lightsaber pack that has similar properties to existing lightsabers. Again, the existing lightsabers can't yet be that same handheld size because of the amount of energy that they need, so they have to come with this like massive battery pack. And that's what the
Alright, now that the blade's assembled, we gotta get it into the handle.
Ah, my hand is cut off, but I think the other way.
Go. Uncompleted lightsaber blade. Not very light.
So again, they're assembling the lightsaber. And so here's the new appearance of it. So this is the box where we've kind of gone over the electrical activity of how, you know, of all the power that they need into it, able to power it to be able to look like, you know, this scene from Star Wars where it can actually cut through metal and melt a bunch of unique features. So that's the the end goal of what they want and why they want it to look a particular way. And again, it's why it kind of looks maybe a little silly in retrospect with this big, you know, copper box. That's what contains all the batteries. They also have a unique switch inside the machine, and then this is a platinum tungsten component here, the saber itself, and that'll be shooting all the energy through it so we can actually get the saber to light up. Dissecting just now, so we had gone through this video of how they built this full-sized lightsaber. It is very different from what you might expect a lightsaber to look like. So it has a giant battery pack that needs about the energy equivalent of a bolt of lightning to power a lightsaber, and so they weren't able to do just the hilt like what you normally see in the movies, but there is this lore that has lightsabers originally with these little battery packs, and so that's the kind of lightsaber that they designed. And so now they've been going through the building process of how it's assembled, how it's going to look, how it's going to work, talking about the electrical components of it as well. And now we're going to test it out. So you're just in time, Raiders, to see what the lightsaber looks like when tested. If y'all want to see the whole video, we do put all the videos and resources that we talk about on the stream up on the Discord. There is a mentioned of stream category. So please consider joining the Discord, and it's all on this, again, the mention on the stream. All the videos, resources that we talk about are always posted there. The lightsabers, I know, Valiant Cheese, have you seen my DIY one? Not as crazy. Yeah, Valiant, some lightsaber technology now. We're talking about some lightsabers now. And there were just, in part of the video where they're about to turn on the lightsaber. And if y'all want to see more of the video and the stuff that we talk about here, it's all in the Discord too. We put up everything that we mentioned on stream in the mention on stream category on the Discord to make sure that nothing is, any information that you may have seen before you can easily get back to as well. Not that I'm one of the not that I'm one of the not occults. Cirque, everyone's part of the not occult. So there's the saber they built.
And now it's time to test our new and improved lightsaber. Let's just turn it on. Flip these switches.
Appreciate you, Marty. Sleep well. Thank you for the follow and thank you for hanging with us.
Adjust the power dial slightly. Safety first. See what happens. Woo! That's a lot of smoke. It's on fire, but it's also lighting up. There we go.
Thank you, Marty.
Give it a bit longer, and she's going to be glowing. Holy crap! This is, oh, it is so hot. Like, my face is starting to burn. All right, someone bring me a head. Damn. It's a little warm. This is so dangerous. Like, if it accidentally hit my face, I would be in trouble.
It's terrifying, but like really cool, right?
This is way better than last blade. Actually feels solid.
Pimcat High, I don't think it makes that sound. Although it would have been cool had it actually. I know, sir, the sacrificial door was not in the video. It was in the little article that they wrote up.
All right, that was awesome. Make sure you're subscribed and turn the notification bell on because we're going to be building a second Pro Saber so we can have a real-life lightsaber duel. But in the meantime, if you guys haven't seen our previous lightsaber videos, I highly recommend you check them out. It's shown our entire progress on getting to this point here today, and you don't want to miss it.
Oh, it's getting... Oh my god, it works. Guys, it actually works.
So not only will our saber actually work and cut through things, it'll sound like one too.
Oh, you can feel the heat.
Oh, I can feel the heat.
Whoa! I am dripping molten lead right now.
Together, we can rule the galaxy.
Tactics! Thank you for the resub, Tactics, for 10 months on a 10-month streak. Tactics. Thank you so very much for that. That's like 2 months in binary. Oh, because it's a one as. Thank you, Tactics. Tactics, how the heck are you doing, my friend? I hope you had an amazing day. We're just dissecting a little bit more of that Star Wars science tonight, good sir. Welcome on in.
Power up. And there you have it, the world's most inefficient vaporizer. Die, Stormtrooper!
So, Pimpcat, the blade itself is titanium and platinum, and that is... it gets really, really hot. And that's how they're using an absurd amount of batteries to heat it up and to be able to simulate that kind of lightsaber effect. And the way they based it off was this essentially a hilt that they wore. So they have this image here from an old school lightsabers from the old books in the Old Republic. And the reason for that is because this is they couldn't get that power supply into the hilt itself. So that's eventually be the next step, but they need enough electricity that essentially is a bolt of lightning to be able to power this thing. And so that whole pack that they have, which I'll show you in a second, that entire
there you have it, the world's most inefficient vaporizer. Die, Stormtrooper!
It's full of batteries.
In fact, it's so hot it ignites things just by touching. Oh. Woo.
There's the door.
So it's
Corthane, thank you for the follow. Welcome on into the colony. You're one of us now. So yeah, this one's not actually plasma, Sir Pimpcat. They were trying to do a lot of features that were supposed to have similar methodologies as what the existing lightsabers have in the movie. They do have a retract. Let's see. They have a new design, and here's the explanation of how all this works. So we'll fast forward to that as well. And then in this follow-up, they also have a different one, Pimpcat, where you can change the colors of it as well. Again, I'll post all the videos on the Discord if anyone's interested in it. But that first part showed more a little bit about the building of it and how it came together from a circuit perspective.
Oh my god, that looks incredible.
Hey, whoa, put some gloves on.
Oh, sorry. Can't get any smudges on the lightsaber. That is incredible. I think you've outdone yourself on this one, Bogdan. Look at the detail in that. If that's not steampunk, I don't know what is. But the real question is, how are we going to power this? Even with all of our new equipment and capabilities here at Hacksmith Industries, we're still kind of bound by the laws of thermodynamics, which means we're still going to have to make this into a proto-saber with a power pack separate from the hilt. Now, we've made incredibly energy-dense power packs before, but in order to get enough power for a plasma-based lightsaber, we're going to have to use something with more energy-dense fuel.
So Pimpcat, they're making the plasma one here. This one's the plasma. Hi, Blueberry.
In this case, LPG, compressed liquid propane gas, which can give us 50 times more energy per kilogram than a light.
So, Tactics, fusion would be helpful. They did say that when they were talking
in
about
dreams, one is not tethered by earthly limitations.
What does that mean?
Come.
They were saying that when they were making energy comparisons as to what the best way would be to actually power this, they were like, yeah, nuclear power would be a very good one. How hot is plasma? I do not know offhand, Pimcat. I think they might talk about it here with respect to the power.
Lipo. Now that's a pretty incredible difference. And the cool thing, you probably have this right at home. We're talking about normal propane that you use in your barbecue. So how do we turn propane into a superheated beam of plasma? The answer lies with one of the most satisfying demonstrations of physics phenomena of fluids, laminar flow. Basically, we need a large array of laminar flow nozzles to create highly concentrated flow of gas to create a plasma beam. Lucky for us, we aren't the only ones who need this, and highly specialized gas nozzles like this can be found.
Yeah, Dame Karen, we've been pointing that out throughout the stream to no one, not kids, but adults as well. No one do that. We Sploden, NMD.
I love you 3000.
It's okay, we got someone to take care of us. Iron Mantonia will take care of us. It's gonna be okay, NMD. It's gonna be okay. Although NMD, I've got rumors that there's someone out there that might be against it. NMD!
I'll be back.
NMD. Terminator.
At a rather high price. This nozzle right here costs over $4,000, and it's used in the glassblowing industry. To achieve maximum temperature, we need complete combustion, which means in addition to this propane, we're actually going to be using oxygen as well. That doesn't sound dangerous, right? Anyways, let's see how it works. First, turn on the propane. Then we turn on the oxygen. Some safety glasses. And the sparker.
There we go. Thank you, Alex Fiston. Core plasma from 11,000 to 14,500 Fahrenheit. Thank you, Alex Fiston. Hi, Kithfish. How you doing, Kithfish? You like the BRB animation? Kith, I also appreciate this. I think the sound effects went in well with it, too. I liked having the Terminator music. Just Hi, Kithfish!
I'll be back.
It overly makes me chuckle. It too makes me chuckle. Kids, we're talking about lightsaber building and electronics tonight, and we did one that it was metal based, like molten metal, and then this is a more plasma based lightsaber. But both of them have to have a separate power pack because of how much energy they need to function. What kind of burn? Pimpcat, I think you're gone. Is the kind of burn. Like you are just gone. Right, Alex? Alex, please back me up on this, Alex Vixen. What kind of burn would that translate? Is this on Amazon? No, but Pimpcat, there's
So
your
look
plasma.
at that. Is that not a lightsaber? This beam is really cool. It's actually burning at around 4,000 Fahrenheit, which means it's capable of cutting through a lot of stuff. Should we cut through some stuff?
Oh, look at that. Yes, as much electricity as a bolt of lightning, Pimpcat, yes. Captures super set, yeah, indeed. A first degree burn is surface, second, let's see, fourth is muscle deep, fifth is bone. Oh, thank you, Alex. I did not know what a fifth degree was. There you go. Pimpcat, please be safe if you attempt this at home. Yeah, Daggett, look how cool that is. Who's paying that bill? Well, they just hooked together a bunch of batteries. Actually, though, Pimpcat EA sponsored these. So
this is actually our old lightsaber blade made of titanium. And look at that. It's already white hot. That is so bright. Jesus. The really cool thing about doing a flame like this is we can actually color it using salts. Let's start with some boric acid. What color do you think it's going to turn the blade? Got your guesses? Ooh, look at that. Next up, we have calcium chloride. Woo!
And so I like that if the lightsaber is at all in the actual Star Wars universe function off this kind of idea. Again, this would mean that if when you're dueling, they wouldn't have the effect because they're not solid, so they never hit each other. But
look at that red orange. That almost hurts to look at. We have some strontium chloride. Woo! That is like a road flare. This actually hurts to look at. Look at that. Finally, we have some sodium chloride, also known as salt. Woo! And look at that. We've got Rey's lightsaber right here. Is that not cool? So we're able to produce a blue lightsaber, a green lightsaber, a red lightsaber, an amber lightsaber, and even a yellow lightsaber. How awesome is that? I should probably turn this off, though.
Pimpcat, but Pimpcat, I was their channel is really cool. The Hackman Industries, they just build a bunch of stuff.
Whoa!
They just build a ton of stuff, and it's an absolute cool.
That took a lot of fine tuning to get the blade to the right length, and turning it off wasn't the most elegant. Luckily, Bogdan's going to be actually making a circuit with 2 fancy valves, which means we'll actually be able to get...
Daggett, you are not the only one who pointed out that it's not a nice way of turning it off. They're going to build
a computer to control the flow of gas to allow for this to ignite and retract with the press of a button. So, I'm going to let Bogdan handle that.
After 12 weeks of anticipation, we finally got our hands on proportional control valves. These will allow us to control exactly how much gas goes into the lightsaber, and therefore make it extend and retract. Now, we just need to figure out how to control it. And to do that, I'll be making a custom printed circuit board.
Well, actually, Dame Karen, one of their videos is a bulletproof suit like in John Wick. So as long as it works, it will not hurt you.
I'm going to be using
one is not tethered by earthly limitations.
What does that mean?
Come.
NMD, sleep well, you amazing soul. NMD96, thank you for everything you do. So we can be here with doing what we do. Sleep well, NMD96, you breathtaking soul. See you real soon. Please to give Marley some keysies.
Team Designer, as is the industry standard for PCB design software, and it's super powerful. This is the printed circuit board that Charles designed to use for the Crisis Arm. But since both projects are using pneumatic valves and auxiliary outputs, we'll be able to use it for our lightsaber with some minor modifications.
They do wear the suit, Dame Karen, at the end of the episode. Yeah.
This board looks great. If you want to view this PCB yourself, you can use Altium Viewer. One of the only machines we don't have in the shop is a PCB mill, but why would we get one of those when websites like JLC PCB will allow us to order high-quality boards in a matter of days for just $2 for 5 boards? We need like 15,000 boards to make up the cost of one of those machines. Let's get these ordered. While we wait for that, I'm gonna guess... Well, that was quick. Let's start soldering.
Guy playing Super Mario theme on a Tesla coil. I have not Pimpcat. Please put that in the Discord. I would love to see that.
Okay.
To better understand how the lightsaber electronics work, check out our page on maker.io.
We've got to build a steampunk power pack with these pieces. I'll let Chris handle that.
Well, this all needs to be polished before I can start building. I'm going to let Dave handle that. No. Fine, I'll do it myself.
Seen Tesla coils? I'll have to check it out, Alex. Gotta build the suit. The sounds is because they put in circuits to make it early in the game. The last one, Cirque, was 50 pounds.
We did it. The world's first retractable.
In dreams, one is not tethered by earthly limitations. What does that mean? Come.
Sleep well, Andrew CZ. Sleep well, your breathtaking soul. Love your face, Andrew. Thank you for being, a leader and a legend. Love you, Andrew.
Plasma-based lightsaber. Now, obviously, we're going to have an amazing test video for this. We've got tons of stuff set up behind us to really put this through its paces, including cutting through a steel door. Anyways, that video is actually available right now for our Patreon supporters and YouTube members, which is a great time to support the channel and get to see this video early. For everyone else, it'll be out next week. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe. Hey guys, I'm the Hacksmith, and on the last episode of Make It Real, we
might as well watch part of the cutting, right, and see what it can do. That's a good. I think that's a good good way to finish out the evening. See what exactly the lightsaber was able to cut.
How about a steel door? You can cut through that.
Yeah, Lucas, no problem. You exactly. So, robbing a bank? No problem. Use your new lightsaber. It's so cool. Oh, look, that's fun.
All right, now you may have noticed we actually do have a big tank of oxygen and propane that Bogdan's currently hooked up to. The only reason we're doing that is because these tests take a while. The backpack does work by itself, but these small tanks only last for about 5 minutes. So when we're filming a big test video like this, it's important to have a lot of extra gas, which is why we're going with the corded route at the moment. A lightsaber's got to be able to cut through a blaster. Let's see if we can do that. We know lightsabers can cut off limbs. What would our lightsaber do to flesh? Let's find out.
Going for a barbecue? Have no. I guess it did cook it?
Delicious.
Time for the ultimate test. Lightsaber versus lightsaber.
Grimly legal.
Oh no. Oh no.
So they have the two. They had the original one that we saw that they built with the tungsten and the platinum. And then they had it with the plasma. And one is clearly superior.
My lights. The light's still on. The light's still on. The lightsaber. We're actually going to be giving away this Mace Windu lightsaber cut with the world's first real-life plasma lightsaber, along with a whole bunch of Hacksmith swag, thanks to our sponsor, Honey. I don't know about you guys, but these days I do literally all my shopping online, which is why I use Honey, the free browser extension that Shield. Well, I think we are some of the only people in the world qualified to find out. Let's see.
Captain America versus this is also, chat. Remember, we just finished SciAnts Sunday theme of Marvel of Star Wars. We're doing Marvel now.
As you can see, it melts vibranium like butter.
Thank you.
Let's try some everyday objects. I wonder what happens if I hit a window. That is freaking cool.
Yeah, at least he put on some safety gear.
Oh! Woo! Oh, it's melting! And exploding!
Oh yeah,
you can literally see it. It's molten. It's molten. It's dripping out the other side. That was freaking awesome. All right, window panes is one thing, but what about tempered glass?
From Wakanda.
I'm kind of expecting this to shatter as well, but maybe it'll melt. Oh, that's kind of scary. Ah! Holy moly. Oh! That was awesome. All right, so we've tried glass, but what if we turn sand into glass? Whoa. Oh, it's working already. It's also blowing the sand in the air, but a bunch of it's melting. There's a glob. Combine. Woo! Look at that. I'd like to introduce you to my good friend Ivan from Zombie Go Boom. He generously donated his body for science. Wow. Oh boy. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, it's so hot.
Oh shit. So again, we're just seeing what all the lightsaber can cut through.
3.
Because why would we?
Whoa. Oh, ow, that's burning. Look at that. Look, it's still glowing. Now, I don't really want to stand here forever melting this hole, but I think it would work. What's next? Off with their head. All right, time for the ultimate test. I'm going to try cutting through a 1/4-inch steel plate to represent a blast shield door, just like Qui-Gon Jinn. Woo! It's like making little rainbows as the heat spreads. We are through! 1/4-inch steel plate. I can't believe we went through a blast shield door. 1/4-inch steel plate. That's crazy. Now, based on the size of your turkey, you're gonna wanna cook it at 4,000 degrees for 5 seconds per pound of turkey. Oh yeah. Perfect. Now, since it is Thanksgiving here in Canada, and not everyone is fortunate enough to be able to lightsaber their own turkey for Thanksgiving dinner, we've actually donated $500 in...
I think it would get through. Uh-oh, are we getting a Teeksta raid? Is we getting a Teeksta raid?
In honor of our lightsaber turkey to the Waterloo Region Food Bank.
James loves destroying vehicles. He's destroyed a Civic, an
Impala,
Impala,
and
and
Soul
a Sub.
Tech. We also have some. We had a bunch of. We do our own art and animations here. We just had for May. It was our Star Wars month, and we were doing a bunch of Star Wars as our own original characters as Star Wars characters, and we had 3 Star Wars emotes for it. June is our Marvel month, so we've actually switched over to Marvel. So we have Iron Man, Black Panther, and Deadpool as our characters. But here are some of the animations that we had for Star Wars month. That's our Nematope character, Ellie Elegant. She likes to throw the lightsaber. Then Alex is showing the new emotes as well. And then we had this one. Our ant lighting the fungus. An animation degree? Nice. Oh, and you love Marvel? This is our brand new animation we just debuted today.
I love you 3000.
There we go. So you have the animation degree. You can see all the issues with it. I have no degree in this. I am a scientist who has picked up this as a hobby. We do. My job is a full-time job as a scientist, but the dream job is to be a science communicator full-time, and that's why we're on the platform. We're doing our ambassador push to be on a Twitch ambassador and bring more of that science to more people, at least as best we can. So again, welcome on, and thank you so much for the raid, for joining our little colony.
On fire. So I got him this beauty, a Buick Riviera.
Yeah, test out the lightsaber on a car.
Another car! Let's see what we can do to a car. Oh, is it melting? It's melting. Oh! Oh, the inside of the car is on fire from the molten glass.
Thank you, Alan.
Yeah, let's see what happens at the door. Whoa! Holy! Oh, here we go. Yeah! Woo! That was cool. Whoa. Let's do the classic Jedi cutting through the TIE Fighter roof. Except my TIE Fighter is a Buick Riviera. Look at that perfect hole. Yeah, lightsaber did quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, Pimp Cat, I hope there is.
What would you guys destroy with the lightsaber? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you
Ladies and gentlemen, why modern cars are ruined when Soltech, you're not wrong. If anyone wants to see the videos that we've been chatting about tonight, they will be on the Discord. We haven't mentioned on the stream category. They'll all be uploaded there. And we went through like all the different types of lightsabers that they built. And what I like about these videos is, yes, we're dissecting, like they show off like the fun element of blowing stuff up and melting through things, but they also show the circuitry and how they actually built the lightsaber from an engineering standpoint, which is one of the reasons why we went ahead and dissected the science behind that. We also did tonight the Force, which actually was a lot of neuroscience, including technology like this that allows you to map the neuronal firing regions of your brain, which was an absolute blast to be able to see something like this. We also talked about how it was used for this technology, where essentially you can hook up this headset, and it uses your electrical waves and registers what it thinks you're thinking. What's stress, what's happiness, what's joy, what's anger, blah, 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 blah. And you can connect it to an output, and so that's how they did for this video.
In the films, they talk about the Force binding people together.
Getting a BB-8
in the near
roll.
future, we're going to take a huge leap in feeling truly connected
with your brain. So we went through that. Like in Ghostbusters, a little bit, Pimp Cat. We did the lightsabers, and we also talked about Tatooine ecology tonight. So quite a potpourri of items tonight, but ones I think was it was a pretty fun one, though. It was a pretty fun one. With that, chat, I think that's where we probably should round out the evening, because it is a little bit past 1 in the morning here for me. Got to get some sleep before work in the morning until we can do this all the time, every day, all day, every day. So I got to get that sleep in.